front to back. Attack, 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 67. And he's a word, the first game of the thousands. Casino would become champion of 67. And he's a word, the first game of the thousands. Casino would become champions. Celtic way, wait for the ball from side to side, and then Celtic tried to hide, but wait for the ball from front to back. Attack, 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 67. And then he's a first man, the buzzing and the phone.
Hello and welcome to episode 119 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Joining us tonight we have our friend to the podcast from Dundee United, Jonas, will be joining us tonight. You can check out all the descriptions below to the podcast, including our forum page www.celticrumours.co.uk, and where all Celtic fans discuss all things Celtic. On tonight's show we'll discuss Celtic's Scottish Cup quarter-final 3-0 victory over Hearts at Tynecastle. We'll be discussing Wednesday's 3-1 victory over Hearts in the SPFL on Wednesday night. We're going to talk to Jonas about the SPFL as a whole, and we get his thoughts on Dundee United, who are what I would say are struggling a bit at the moment, unfortunately, for Jonas. Firstly, don't Mark for a few shout-outs.
Jonas, can you hear us all right?
Aye, yeah, I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Aye, that's bang on, just checking there. Thanks very much for coming on, Jonas, bud.
Cheers for having us, lads.
A few shout-outs to some of the lads on the forum, Richie and his family, old Tim Alloy, Welshie, a Glasgow Green, be John United Ireland. That'll be that for who's in. Bobby, evening Bobby, thanks very much for coming in as always. Northampton Tim, nice to see you. And you Brian, nice to see you again Brian, bud. And then Mikey there as well. Evening Mikey. If you want to come on Mikey, I'll put the link in. If you still want to come on before you go and play FIFA, just let us know, bud. That's it, Paul, just let's get going.
So Hearts 0, Celtic 3 was the final score of the Scottish Cup quarter-final. Goals from Moy in the second minute, Kyogo the 45th, and Vickers in the 80th minute. The stats for the game were the shots 11 to Celtic's 21 and target to Celtic's 9, 35% possession to Celtic's 65, passes 317 to Celtic's 585. Block shots, they had 1 to Celtic 5, tackles 1. In the defensive area was 10 to Celtic's 18. Avil Jews 1. This is by Carter. Vickers was 10 to the Hearts whole back line. There was 9. Mark, I suppose, just as a whole, and I'm just looking at this, like, and Jonas, you might come in this as well. It's like Hearts are third in the SPFL. They're hoping to break in the years to come, break up the two Glasgow teams, but going on that performance yesterday, it's not looking good in the SPFL if Celtic looked comfortable throughout that game yesterday.
I thought Hearts were really, really poor, Paul. I thought they didn't really offer much at all in any way, any kind of offensive. I was expecting, he dropped players due to the midweek game. I was expecting them to try and have a bit of a go at us yesterday. It's their own patch. Do you know what I mean? It's a home game to them. It's a cup game. Anything can happen. I thought they were. Celtic played well, but Hearts were really, 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 really poor. See if the Hearts team put in the effort their fans did, they'd been absolute scumbags. The team would probably be challenging for trophies and that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 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 Your thoughts, because Tynecastle's for any team, Celtic, Rangers, or Dundee, it's always a tough place to go in Scotland. Mark was saying there with the atmosphere from the fans and a toxic atmosphere, but it just didn't look. They didn't look up for that game yesterday, Jonas.
Nah, they just didn't. They never got going. That was probably down to obviously Celtic in a part as well, playing well, but they just didn't get going at all yesterday. I don't think they did have a few injuries as well. Shankland and a few of their sort of main players were out injured as well, which obviously never helped the cause. But like I say, overall for a quarter final, a cup, pretty poor performance. And if you were a Hearts supporter, you would be happy with the way they performed yesterday.
No, it just when I was kind of
just let me shout out, Paul. Evening, Kenneth Robson. Thanks for coming in, mate.
No, because when I was kind of looking, Mark, at the Twitter feeds yesterday, and between the both games, if teams want to break this top two, it's going to be a long time before I think any team comes near to Celtic or Rangers. Not so much Celtic, but even close to Rangers. You know,
but Paul, I don't know if it's a psychological thing. It's just whether it is like managers leaning to other teams in that, Paul. But teams that we go to places like Tynecastle and that, and usually we get a right hard, dirty game and that. Rangers don't get that at Tynecastle. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Would you agree with that, Jonas? There's a Hearts that turn up at other league games, and then there's a Hearts that turns up like in the games that you're expecting them to try and even turn up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. And what you're saying there, this is a wee bit like Aberdeen as well. They seem to sort of turn up in they'll try like anything against Rangers, but then other games they're nose up for it, you know what I mean?
I've seen Rangers fans accusing me lying down to Celtic and that. I totally agree with that, Jonas. Do you think that's part of the psychology of the Scottish game or something?
I think a lot of the time as well, the way Celtic are playing just now and the style of football and the players that they've got, a lot of teams are probably beat before a ball's even kicked. Just it's a mental thing as well, because you know what I mean. It's very difficult to sort of try and think to yourself, like, we've got a chance of getting out of the game. And I think a lot of it is mental. A lot of the teams are probably beat before the ball's even kicked.
Aye, I agree with that. I really do. It's because it's like two different teams can turn up in the space of 2 or 3 days when they're playing games. It's really weird.
Just what we were saying, like about Tynecastle, Mark. Kenneth there brought it up about it hasn't been the first time things have been thrown at Celtic players in Tynecastle, but I believe that what I heard was what was thrown at Hart yesterday was actually a dart. It was a dart.
A dart? For God's sake.
It was a dart. It was an old something that it's an old school tactic in throwing a dart, and you know that's what he handed to the Clancy thing. Like what mindset is any fan in football thinking before a game, thinking I'm going to take this with me and throw it at a player at the game? Do you know what I mean? What's their mindset to do that, Jonas? You know what I mean?
Just idiotic, isn't it? It was the same thing happened last week when we played against Aberdeen with Goodwin getting coins in there, flung at them from the Aberdeen fans from behind the dugout. So unfortunately, it's just the way it is in football. There's a minority of idiots in every fan base that tarnish the reputation of a club. And it's the same across the board, unfortunately. There's a section, and every support carries a section of just lunatics that, you know what I mean? Like I say, a dart. Imagine leaving, I've got my wallet, my keys, my phone, and then you think...
Aye. Where's that dart I looked at the other night?
I know, it's just... I
I was speaking to it, I put it with Mikey earlier, right? See, like at Glasgow Derby games now, right? There's always whether it's an arsehole on your side or their side, definitely 100% is something to do with they're pissed out their mind. Really into alcohol's a big part of that kind of thing. And it's, as I say, it's like what Jonas is saying, right? If you're going to do, you get in your pocket, you've got coins, throw a coin. But if you've got up there stone cold sober in the morning and put a dart in your jacket to go to the football, you know what I mean? It's absolutely bonkers.
To have some serious fucking issues, Mark.
But I know what Jonas is saying, right? If you're throwing a coin's something that you've got on you in the football. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. Even if they're throwing bolts, right? All the young team that sneak in half bolts at Buckfast and stuff like that. But to physically get up in the morning and, as you want to say, just say, all right, mate, I'm mind and take that dart with me. Absolute bonkers. Do you know what I mean? Mikey's saying, ask Jonas about when he charged on the pitch at Ross County. Did you charge on the pitch, Jonas?
I had a wee bit of I just lost into the head momentarily, but it can happen. You know what I mean?
Well, it's expected. Jonas, like what's going on?
Did you get a pull for it, Jonas?
I just got chucked out, but you know what it was? It was just the frustration of the fact that it was against the team that was bottom of the league, and it must have been a game, and they turned in that performance, and I just lost the head. You know what I mean? It was one of those situations, but can get the better of it sometimes.
Oh, I definitely. I've been there. I've never run on the pitch. Well, I did when the day we won the league when we stopped them doing 10 in a row and that, but I've never run on the party in front of the manager or that, Jonas, to be honest.
They must be backing Jonas because they fucking sacked him the day after.
Exactly. I was a vehicle for change. The sporting director was in during the week and the manager got sacked, so that must have made a difference.
Exactly, exactly.
It was a protest you were making, Jonas. We'll just say, put it that way, isn't it?
Correct.
Could have been worse.
Have you ever been to Tynecastle, Jonas?
Yeah, I've been loads of times. Yes, I actually quite enjoy the trip itself and the away day and that. But yeah, it's quite a hostile atmosphere, is it?
Aye.
I mean, but that's what I couldn't understand, Mark, from like what Jonas is saying there. Like it's a hostile atmosphere. Like, and if your home team, like, you should be breathing off that atmosphere, but it wasn't. Like that was not a trip to Tynecastle for Celtic that I remember over the years ago. And there, do you know what I mean? The likes of Neil Lennon's days, Brendan Rodgers' days. It was always a tough. Like, but is this because Celtic are getting better and better and better, Mark, or was it because you just didn't recognise Hearts yesterday?
I think, as I said earlier, Paul, I think Hearts were really, really poor. They never really laid a glove on us all game. But again, Celtic played well, so that probably played a part in it. But it's just said, I mean, there was no fight, there was no dig or nothing about. There was nothing. Do you know what I mean? There was just no. What you're talking about, Paul. There was always a kind of intensity to the games, and it's a notorious. It's one of the games that you look at the fixtures when that comes the fixture list comes out. Aye, you know what I mean. You're like, that's a hard game. Pataudry's a hard game and stuff like that. But yesterday it wasn't. You know what I mean? There's just, I don't see there's really anybody can lay a glove on Celtic this season, Paul. The way we're playing now.
Well, the kind of only chance yesterday, Mark, and we've been talking about our keeper situation there for the last. But for me, like, there's not many keepers made that save that Joe Hart, that double save that Joe Hart made yesterday. I thought that was just an outstanding, and it was 1-1. It was 1-1 at that time. That could have changed the game if that went in. That was a magnificent save.
Yeah, it was a cracking save, no doubt about it.
You know, it really was. Like, I know his distribution doesn't be great at that times, but I'm a big believer, Mark. If my job is the final goals to keep the ball out of the net, do you know what I mean? And
that's the goalkeeper's main. Aye, yeah, that's the goalkeeper's main job, isn't it? Keeping the ball out. But he does well. I mean, he does that well. It's just that's playing at my feet. I mean, even Jonas. We talk about this every time Jonas is on, didn't we? Jonas, this ball playing goalkeeper stuff in that. Don't know what I mean? But I don't think. I think I've said that to Mikey a few times. We've spoke about it. Right? They were going on about Celtic's got all this money in the bank and that, right? But really, Paul, where would we spend it on in the team? The new.
I suppose.
Supposing nobody left, right? Supposing nobody left.
A left back.
A backup left back. But is Bernaby that bad?
I don't know, man.
He's only a young
lad. Like, you know what I mean? I think he is. Do you know, like, if my problem with Bernaby at the moment, Mark, is Taylor's been such a good player, and if Taylor's not the team, you're looking going, Bernaby, do you know that way? You know, like, we haven't seen enough of him. Do you know what I mean? You know, and And it's wrong of me it's wrong of me to think that, Mark. Do you know what I mean? It's wrong of me to think that because but I think he's a young lad, Mark, and he just
he's good
needs
enough for a
progression.
backup. He's good enough for a backup.
And I think what Ange's doing, Mark, is he's managing him well in letting him get these brief chemos in the team that he's not just throwing him in, like, you know what I mean? He's there, as you said, as a backup to Taylor, and that's what he is at the moment. You know?
Even when he did get the run of games and he didn't do too well and that kind of thing, probably, I said at the time, Paul, probably Ange didn't think he was maybe ready at the time, but Taylor was it. So we had
do you know who he reminds me of, Mark? And not as a player, but as his attitude. He reminds me of Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United. If a decision goes against him or something goes wrong, it affects his game.
Aye.
You know,
that Dundee United, when he lost the penalty against Dundee United, it really affected him that day.
Yeah, that's my impression of him. Like, instead of like top players, Mark, put these mistakes behind them in games. I mean, you're going to make a mistake in the game. Do you get me? You know what I mean? Do you know? And I just think he's the type of player that doesn't mistakes affect his overall game. Then that's what I think of him at the moment. You know,
just maybe needing to grow up and mature a wee bit.
Yeah, and I think that will come. Like, I think that will come on the end.
I mean, really, right? But that was the same two positions. It would say it's like really it would only be a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And we are pushing it. I mean, it's like we're kind of writing off Joe Hart. You know, we should bring in better than Joe Hart. But I think that's the one position that we actually need to strengthen out of the full squad. As long as any of our big players leave, do you know what I mean? Get rid of the fringe like McCarthy and that now. But if we don't lose anybody, I don't see where Celtic actually need to strengthen next season apart from goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that sounds a bit. I don't know, a bit arrogant or that. You know what I mean? To like Jonas, I've heard Ryan Jack's going to Dundee United next year.
Aye, so he is.
No, that's the talk.
Is he
meant to be?
Nah, I don't see that happening, Mike.
Dundee United are meant to have spoke to him and try to sign him for next year. He's out of contract, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of
the thing is, there's no way that he's going to drop. If he get relegated, he's not dropping from Rangers to go and play in the Championship. Like, you know what I mean? No chance. And the wages in that he'll be on at Rangers as well, especially if he don't stay up, then I don't think we'll not be able to match what he's wanting either. He's probably going to be on about 10, 12 grand a week, is he? He's not going to come to United for about 1,500 a week in the Championship, is he? If we go down.
Aye, that's a point.
You know what I mean? And there's no really... I don't think it's the sort of signing that we would be looking for anyway. You know what I mean? It's not really I don't think there'll be any movement by us until we know what division we're in.
What about Kyle Lafferty? Would you take him?
That was, see, when he got released for Kelly, that was doing the rounds, and thankfully he didn't come to us, like, because that would have been it.
Like, for me, Jonas, you have two strikers that are like for like in Tony Watt and Fletcher. Do you know what I mean? They're like for like, and I think that's been one of it's bad that you're conceding goals, but then you're not scoring the goals is another problem. You know,
we're not getting enough output from the midfield either. We're not getting anybody. We're not getting like Jamie McGrath and that having a chipped in with enough goals. And fair enough, he's been injured for parts of, but we're not getting enough from the wide players and midfielders chipping in as well. And to be fair, letting Tony Watt go on loan to St Mirren without replacing him in January, we've only got Fletcher and then Sadat, who's a Ugandan, just like a rookie, you know what I mean? So you can't be relying on them kind of boys in the situation that we're in. But we left ourselves criminally short in the transfer window.
It was a bit weird. What was the score? Why did they let Tony Watt go out and loan Jonas?
Because he wasn't getting enough game time, so he wanted to go and play, which I can understand. I can see his point of view. But if I was United, I would have found a way to make it work with him in the team, even if you play him off the left like you did last year, off of Fletcher or something. I think it was a daft move to let him go.
So, is it just survival now for you, Jonas? Aye.
It has to be, yeah. 3 points behind Ross County and Kilmarnock with 10 games to go. It's got to be. That's the focus.
And you've tough games coming up as well, Jonas. I mean, you've St Mirren who they're a tough team to beat. You've Rangers on the 1st of April, and there's tough games coming around.
The good thing for us in that is that we've only got to play Rangers. We don't have Celtic or Hearts or Aberdeen to play again until the spot. Whereas like Ross County and Kilmarnock have still got to play Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hearts, teams like that. So that's the one.
They're capable. It's up to they'll lose points. It's up to you to try and pick them up now, really, isn't it?
The only game that I'm looking at between now and the split that is like you wouldn't back yourself to get anything from would be Rangers away. So other than that, there's a potential for points in every game. So there's still, and like you say, 3 points isn't insurmountable. Even if we go to the split with a 3-point gap, then it just becomes a mini league. You just need to make sure you're in touch when the split happens.
Aye. I think the players now, Jonas, at this stage need to treat every game as it's a cup final.
Well, the problem is that Jim Goodwin's only been in charge for 2 games, but the improvement's already been considerable when you look.
Well, you can see that on Wednesday night. Yeah, getting a 1-1 draw against Livingston, which is always a tough place to.
Especially that's only the second time this season that we've came back when we've conceded the first goal. Before that, we'd went behind 19 times and we'd lost 18 of them. So the fact that we were able to come from a goal down as well was massive.
It shows there is a bit of character there somewhere. Just try to get it out my roofing, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Do you think Goodwin's the man, Jonas? Like, are you getting behind?
That's what I was going to say. What you thought of him?
Well, see, to be fair, like, okay, I know he had a bit of the end of his tenure at Aberdeen was a bit of a spectacular collapse. However, he was good at St Mirren. He did a good job at Alloa and that before that. He's an experienced manager. So he's certainly not going to be any worse than what we had. And like I said, I don't think every manager has one job that they have a bad timing normally. So one bad job, like one bad ending to a job doesn't make you a bad manager overnight. So you've got to give him a chance. He probably wouldn't have been my choice, and he was a bit left field when it happened. But I'm not against it.
Who was your raider that went to try and put kind of anybody in mind?
Well, the talk at the time was I would actually like Lennon if we'd got the chance to get Lennon. That would have been my pick. That'd have been worth the 3. He'd have made sure you'd have stayed up into it. That's the type. But I know what you're meaning by that.
We even thought that we were even saying that, Mark. When I was talking to you about it, and I said, here in the podcast, that freaking Lennon would actually be a good bet there. Do you know what I mean? He would have kept them up.
He would have been my choice.
Yeah.
Even probably long term. Surely you wouldn't have had to take Lennon longer term, but
no, I would have took Lennon longer term if he'd kept up, and then that's what, because I reckon whatever happens with Goodwin, he can't be held responsible even if we do go down, because he's just been brought at the tail end to try and salvage the situation. Aye. So the likelihood will probably be that you'll get the job on a full-time basis, regardless of what the outcome is, because the mess that we're in isn't his making, you know what I mean? He's just been sort of brought in to try and salvage it last minute.
But what went wrong, Jonas, with Fox? Was it his tactics, or do you think he wasn't even up for that job, or was the job too big for him?
Far too big for him in a situation like that. When his previous, he got relegated with Cowden Beather, so he had no. It was just a cheap appointment from the club to try and promote internally and save money, which is all it's going to have done is cost them in the long term. You know what I mean? So it wasn't the right appointment in the first place, and he should never have got the job. He wasn't the right person for it. We needed experience, not a rookie. It's not a position for a rookie manager when you're in a relegation battle.
We spoke about it as well. You need a manager that's got a bit of personality to come in against guys like Mulgrew and that have been there for years and in with the bricks and running the show, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. You need a manager that can command a bit of authority, like what Goodwin's done. You know, he had them in training yesterday at Paradise, so there's about you've got 10 days nearly at training now since Wednesday to get prepared for Saturday. So you work them hard and you'll get respect out of them, and that's exactly what we need at this stage.
Mm-hmm. No, I like Goodwin. I think it was more the players in Aberdeen that left Goodwin down, Mark, rather than Goodwin letting Aberdeen down, because I actually thought that was a good appointment for Aberdeen, Goodwin going in there, but I think the players let him down massively at that club.
Aye, they threw him under the bus in the Darvel game, and then they definitely threw him under the bus against Hibs in the 6-0 and the 5-0 at Tynecastle the week that led to him getting sacked. Like,
because that's what I don't like. Like if players down tools for a manager, and then a new manager comes in,
nobody sacks a player.
Yeah,
do you know what
exactly.
I mean? Nobody sacks a player. If a manager doesn't like a player, the player can just sit there and get all the money. Do you know? Oh, what was that feedback? Yeah. I mean, a player can just still sit there. Oh, if you don't want to play me, I'll just sit here for the next 2 years on my 40 grand a week or whatever it is. Whereas if the players don't like the manager, that's it. He's not going to last. You know that?
No, exactly. It's always the manager that pays for the job. But that's the problem with football nowadays. The player power. Players can get a manager sacked. We've seen it with Jack Ross when they down tools in that 9-0 against Celtic. You know what I mean? We've already witnessed that this season. A manager being thrown under the bus by a squad of players. So if a manager doesn't get...
Look at the pub league down in England. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I mean, I don't want to, but see if you were looking, would you take a job down in England, Jonas, if you were an up and coming kind of manager?
Maybe eventually, once your stock was high and you'd got a bit of a reputation for yourself, but I can see why, because you can make
and you're going to be a millionaire. But down there, I mean, really, I've seen it a ton of times. Any manager down in England is only most of them, 99% of them are only like 6 games after the sack.
Yeah. And you're dealing with mercenaries as well, because you're dealing with players that are on some of them on hundreds of thousands a week or whatever. So,
if they players decide they don't like you, that's into that. You've no got a hope in hell of getting anything out the club. I mean, it's like if you get a Spurs manager and Harry Kane doesn't like you, you're not going to last there. Do you know what I mean?
No, correct. If you don't get buy-in,
do you think that's what happened to you, Jonas? Because I correct me if I'm wrong here, but I read reports that like Fox kind of had a falling out with Charlie Mulgrew and kind of senior players within that squad. Like, did he lose that dressing room, do you think, Fox?
I don't think he lost the dressing room. I just don't think he was good enough. I don't think there wasn't any rumours. I think the players actually quite liked Fox. I don't think there was any sort of fallouts or anybody throwing anybody under the bus, as it were. It was more just the fact that he just wasn't up to, like, you know what I mean, tactically he wasn't good enough. He wasn't reactive. He wasn't able, like, he wasn't proactive. He wasn't able to change a game with his tactics or subs or anything like that. And just his inexperience and inability cost him.
He's talking to players. He's talking to players. A lot of older United players have played at the kind of top levels, and this guy's coming in and he's trying to coach them, and they're like, "No, this isn't good." It's no good enough. You can tell that he's only coached at a lower level.
Yeah, like you say, just too big a job for someone of that. If he'd had a few managerial posts in his previous before he came to United, and he had a reputation behind him, then look, fair enough. But it was a gamble on an inexperience, and it backfired.
If I hate to say it, Jonas, but hopefully it's not for yourself. Like, do you think it could be a little bit too late in sacking him with so many little games to go, or do you think Goodwin can get you out of this?
I think with the split still to come and 30 points to play for, there's still time to salvage it.
I fancy United to stay up. I really do. They should be. I mean, I've said it before. I'm not just saying it blowing on sunshine up Jonas's arse. Do you know what I mean? But Dundee United should be up there pushing Hearts and teams like that. Do you know what I mean?
The last couple of seasons, like since Jonas been on here with us, they were always mid-table, and we were saying this next step, and Jonas was saying like is to go that little bit further. And for them to be in this relegation, Jonas, like I'd say it's like stressful for you, the fans, and for the players and the club.
And the thing is as well, last season after finishing 4th, getting Europe, obviously beating AZ Alkmaar in the first leg in Europe, and that season started so well. So we should have really been challenging for 3rd, but it's just been an unmitigated disaster.
It just shows, Mark, and I think we saw that as well when we appointed Neil Lennon for the 10 in the row. Like if that appointment isn't right, you know, it's a big gamble by the club. Like if they don't do their research and get the right man in, you know.
Oh, aye. I mean, but I've said to you as well, Paul, what if they'd won the 10 in a row and Lennon still stayed on? We wouldn't be sitting where we are now.
That's it, Mark.
I know it's a bit
That's it, boy. That's the gamble you kind of take. Like, I don't think no one would have thought back then, Mark, with the squad that we had back then, that we would have lost the league by so many points that time. Do you know what I mean? It was just one of those seasons.
COVID, no, that played a part in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jonas? What do you make of Big Ange? Do you like the way he's getting the Celtic team playing in that?
He's obviously a very good manager, is he? And he's utilised the market cleverly. The players that he's brought in, they seem to all be wanting to play for him. There seems to be everybody seems to be on board with his ideas and stuff like that. And he's got them playing a good style of football. You know what I mean? So it's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Mark, going shout out to Jones as well, do you think there's going to be a period of domination by Celtic coming again?
Yeah, well, unless something dramatic changes, then I don't see why it wouldn't.
Because the reason I'm saying that, is if you look at the end of the season, there's at least about 12 to 14 players going to be leaving Rangers, and from the outset, they don't have the finances to bring in that quality owners, I think, to challenge Celtic at the moment.
No, and they're going into a rebuild where Celtic might lose a couple of players, but Rangers are looking at a full-scale rebuild near enough, you know what I mean? Whereas Celtic have got continuity there, which is what Rangers don't. So they're looking at a rebuild, whereas Celtic are just looking to consolidate and sort of continue progress. And so I don't see there being a big shift, if I'm being honest with you. Mm-hmm.
Would you think so as well, Mark? With that?
I'd agree with that. Aye, it's like Rangers are in the position now, Paul, that even Jonas will probably know himself at Dundee United. It's a lot of players come and go at these kind of clubs. You sign them in short-term contracts and then they're leaving. Every year there's a kind of rebuild at these kind of clubs, and Rangers are kind of falling into that trap now, Paul. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You need to start. But Jonas is talking about the foundation that Ange's built. You need to. That's the kind of thing that Rangers need to try and look at and try and do. But again, they've been trying it for so many years to kind of follow your transfer business model and that, and it's not working for them. But it will help. I see the players leaving. One thing it will do is help bring their wage bill down, which they'll need to do to try and continue meeting these UEFA regulations and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it'll be. I mean, I don't think we're going to end up with quadruple trebles and stuff like that, Paul. But we'll be league winners for the next few seasons, at least for the foreseeable. And then I see cup games. Anything can really happen. You know what I mean? I see the cups in that. I'd actually like to see them get spread out amongst other teams. Do you know what I mean? No Rangers, obviously, but see, like Dundee United win the cup, or Hibs win the cup, or stuff like that. Wouldn't really bother me.
For Scottish football. I really do. I think it's like, if Celtic don't win it, I don't care who wins it once it's not Rangers, really.
Aye.
But I think it's good for Scottish football if teams outside the top two start winning those cups. It's good for the league. Yeah,
a couple of years ago, St Johnstone won the cup double.
The double, they did.
I mean, Jonas would still be partying at that if I had time to Dundee United.
Well, got double, yeah, no, exactly.
But there was a club there, Mark, who last season didn't have the best of starts, and they stuck with him, and he got him out of it. You know what I mean? So I think maybe St. John's were thinking, look, we're better off with or having to get us, knowing that he would get us out of this, to think, rather than bring someone else in.
Even showing him a bit of loyalty as well, Paul. You know what I mean? Even if you can keep us up, you keep us up. But you put us down, you're staying as our manager for next season to bring us back up, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It would have been easy for St. Johnstone to give him the bullet. But that's the thing again. There's the fans and the chairman and that, they're just too quick to pull the plug on managers. You know what I mean? If they did give them a bit of time, I mean, they're right. But Jonas is saying if Dundee United did get relegated, Jonas, right, hopefully they don't, bud, but you'd be quite happy with Godwin as your manager down there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think Goodwin would do a job because, like I say, he's done a job in the lower leagues previously as well, you know what I mean?
You'd expect him to bring you straight back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Aye. Do you know what I mean? Probably that's the kind of thing, whereas if you've been doing with that Fox, would you have been confident in him bringing you back up?
No, that's what I mean. You need an experienced head. And like you say, you need to show a wee bit of loyalty, like what you just said with St Johnstone, because sometimes they are too quick to empty managers and whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there's one player that I just want to touch on there, just to come away from that for a few seconds back to the game there, was we've been looking forward to kind of see him starting in the thing, and he started yesterday, but we're on about this Celtic team that we have two players, kind of 2-3 players for every position, and when you get your chance, you should take it. But did Haksabanovic take his chance yesterday?
I wouldn't say he was outstanding, Paul, but I don't think he was as bad as sort of like the Twitter Celtic supporters are on me. Do you know? I don't think he was as bad as they're making him out to be.
One thing I think, Mark, the difference between, and this is what I noticed about Celtic yesterday, was just what Maeda brings to that team. Up press, high up the pitch seemed non-existent yesterday without Maeda there. Did you notice that we weren't kind of pressing, and is it actually Maeda that does that role? And
Paul, that's the thing about. I mean,
I know they're different players, but
I'm not. I'm going to. I'm going to say is like, see Maeda. I'm not actually sure what position he should be playing in. Do you get what I mean? It's hard to pinpoint. It's hard to pinpoint what he does. It's hard to pinpoint what he does, but he does what he does brilliant. I know that sounds pure craziness, but
yeah. It's
just Is it just his? I mean, I've said that all along. Is it just his energy and drive and stuff like that? That I mean, he's not an out and out winger, Paul. His crossing's a bit suspect to say the least. Jonas.
Yes.
Did you mute yourself there, mate, or did I mute you by accident?
No.
Oh, sorry, you were showing up as muted there. So, Maeda, I mean, his crossing's not the best and stuff like that, but he does bring something to the team, Paul, as you said, and it seemed to. Is it that kind of energy and just the pressing side?
Yeah, I think it is, Mark. I think, because if you looked at Hearts throughout the game, they seem to have all the time in the world to pass the ball out within their defence, the midfielders. Yes, I know now they did feck all it, but they had that time to do it. But if Maeda was there, I don't think they would have had that time. You know, I think he's key to, and I think that's why Ange actually plays the Mark. It's for that press. You know what I mean? You know.
But Paul, you've got. I mean, I'm not putting it down on it, but you've got to look for more for a player than just that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, exactly. But I actually think Mark Haksabanovic should be more centre rather than out in the wing. I think
I've said that to you before, Paul. I'd like to see him get a chance in one of the middle positions. I
think it would suit him more, Mark. I really would. I think he'd be. It's just Haksabanovic can play that ball. Do you know what I mean? He sees a pass, and I just think he'd be more suited to that role, of thing. But Ange was saying then, just going back to Kyogo and going back to Wednesday's game, Mark, and I don't know, did you want to see the games where he was saying we have to be clever in the way we pick out Kyogo, because some of his movement off the ball, Mark, last Wednesday, and no player actually took that risk to play that pass to him. You know?
Aye. I saw what he was saying with that. No, that's down to the training and coaching, but isn't it?
You know,
to train and coach them to spot the runs that he's making.
Yeah, I really do, because if you have a striker, Jonas, that's making these runs like Kyogo does, that he plays on the shoulder of the defender, you want your players to know that he's going to anticipate the ball going into the space for him to run onto, and Celtic just don't seem to be doing that.
Yeah, no,
And I think that also just comes with someone playing regularly and being in a system and knowing and getting comfortable with a position and getting comfortable with the players. Whereas if you're sort of chopping and changing, if you're sort of a bit more of a pit part player, then it's sort of hard to get that rhythm. And you really only get that sort of rhythm by playing as a unit. You know what I mean?
Like your Larson and Sutton get to know how each other plays in that. Aye,
because it's like normally Kyogo, Jota, and Maeda. They've got a sort of chemistry and an understanding and know how they all play together. Whereas when Haksabanovic comes in from time to time, because he's not always playing, he's not always 100% sure about his link up or you know what I mean, or what like if he makes a certain run, is he going to be picked out?
I'm not saying you can't give players criticism, but it's hard after pumping the support towards best team in the country away from home. That's kind of what we're saying, Mark. Isn't it? Like it's like
Haksabanovic, he didn't have a great game. Nobody's disputing that. But again, Paul, we seem to often be kind of right side it, and we're kind of attacking play. Everyone seems to favour going down the right hand side now. Do you know what I mean? So he was a kind of lone kind of figure out there a bit. But I mean, I keep saying it, the overreaction to it on Twitter just is normal. I mean, you'll see it yourself with Dundee United players that, do you know what I mean? They've one bad game and the next time they want them chased out the city and stuff like that, isn't it?
Fans are like that, of course. Like as a
fickleness, isn't it? That's the word.
Yeah, and as a football player, you're only a one ever bad week away from being a scapegoat. You know what I mean? You can score a hat trick one week and you have a stinker the following week. Like I say, you're getting pelters. So you know what?
It's just one pass at Celtic, Mike. Jonas. You make one bad pass, and that's you. Roll it off. Doesn't matter. I mean, people still get Starfelt pelters.
He might not be the most attractive on the eye and stuff like that, but when you watch him, he's a good player. You know what I mean? He does his job.
Exactly.
Part of the best defensive. Do you know what I mean? In the country, this team will not compare to Mark's O'Neill team until they produce in Europe. That's a fair point as well, John. Nice to see you, John, mate. Thanks for coming in. That is a fair point. I know. I think that's got to be the next step. It's got.
I think, Mark.
It's got to be even Angie's next. Yeah, Ange must himself know that. Do you know what I mean?
Going by the reports, Mark, that like freaking, I'm sick of hearing Jonas like that. There's a job opening down. I'm surprised BBC he wasn't linked to the BBC Match of the Day job down in England, Ange, over the weekend by the reports down there. But I think Ange, Mark, wants to let a legacy at Celtic.
He's come out here and said to himself, Paul, I'll be here as long as they want me. Do you know what I mean? Probably meaning the club as a whole, you know what I mean, and the fans. Talking about the money men and the fans. And as far as I'm concerned, as I've said 10 minutes ago, and get down there and you're what, 6 games for the sack. Because if you get down there and right away as well, he's got the kind of the pressure of coming for that Mickey Mouse League. He's not got to do. Do you see that? See what he to deal with coming in here when they were all writing him off and they'll not be here by Christmas and stuff like that. That would be 20 times as much pressure on him down there if he went down there and didn't win his first couple of games or something like that. That would be serious pressure for like the press and stuff like that.
No, I think, Mark. Yeah, I think this. But is this team good enough, Mark? Do you think next season to get a good run in Europe, or do you think we need to let players go and bring in players better than what we have, or would you stick with this group of players if we can keep these group of players together?
But we need we've got a Wata now, so hopefully he's going to be playing in the CDM role, Paul. And that was one of my big main concerns with it. That we get ripped apart. Do you know what I mean? We get ripped apart every game with Callum McGregor playing in there. So hopefully, as I said, the plan next year is to play a Wata in the CDM role, move McGregor up a role, and I think that will help. And I think that you'll see. I mean, that we spoke about it, Paul. We lost up with a few goals and stuff like that, but I mean, we get back to how well we played in the spells against Real Madrid at Celtic Park. Do you know what I mean? Against Real Madrid, the European champions, and we played well. And we could have went ahead. We could have went ahead against them. I'm not saying we'd have ended up beating them. That'd have been a miracle kind of thing. But we went toe to toe, but we made stupid errors. As I keep saying it, Paul, it was. Did Juranovic not get stung a couple of times in the Champions League as well?
Yeah, he did. Out of position,
McGregor in that CDM role, which is just he can get away with it in Scotland, but he's not getting away with it at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even with the group of players we've got, with a wee tweak here and here, and maybe a wee, I don't know, a wee addition of some. But again, Paul, that's what I'm saying. Where would we spend our money? Goalkeeper.
I don't know, Mark. Do Celtic at this moment, right, with the amount of balls we put into the ball, do we actually need an out number 9?
Oh, that's another worry. Is Kyogo going to score goals in Europe at the Champions League level?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen this. Like, what was this? Out of 88 shots, Mark, or something like that, we only scored 3 goals.
That's embarrassing. That's definitely something that needs to get looked at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's your no, you understand? Like we're talking about Celtic for the time being, but we will get to Dundee night. Like, do you think this Celtic team is capable of competing in Europe next season?
I thought they played in all the games. They played well in spells, but like you say, it's just about being more consistent for the 90 minutes. And it's like you said, Mark hit the nail on the head. It's taking the chances. They missed too many chances in Europe. It's different, like you say, when you're playing against a Livingston or a Motherwell or a Ross County or something like that. You can afford to miss a couple of chances because you'll get other chances. But in Europe, it's a different kettle of fish because you're playing against the elite teams, and you've got to take your chances.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's as simple and as basic as it is, you know what I mean? Because if you don't take your chances at Champions League level, then you're going to be punished because the quality of teams you're playing against.
Mm-hmm.
But see, the thing about it as well, Mike, I keep calling you Mike, it's a Dundee accent, man. I'm not used to talking to him on Skype. I've said this before, right? It's like we need a player like who was the boy? Was it Mudryk? Was it?
Yeah.
I thought I'm watching him. I really liked him, but it's like, are Celtic capable of getting out and buying somebody at his kind of level to take us to the next level? Do you know what I know he went for mega money, but I'm talking about finding a young player before he hits the massive kind of level. Do you know what I mean? But it might still cost us 25 million, but in 2 or 3 years' time, we're going to get 50 or 60 million for him.
Yeah, no, like I say, the progress in, the Champions League is very difficult for anybody to win really out with the super clubs. Whereas the Europa League, there's proof that the Europa League's a competition that you can attack. You know what I mean? So it's Celtic, with the team that they've got now, should be competitive at that level, in my opinion, anyway. Without having to add, a lot of players. Whereas at Champions League level, you probably will need to pump more investment into it. But again, are you going to want to go and spend 25-30 million knowing that you're never going to win the Champions League, whereas you've got a chance of winning one of the other competitions, you know?
Aye.
That's where I think we are at the moment, Mark. I think, look, if we get into the Champions League, at a minimum, we should be dropping down to the Europa League and giving that Europa League a good run.
Aye, I've been saying that for donkey's years, Paul. Getting back to even see if we've been getting into the Champions League for the last 10 years of that, a few times of that. I think of the money we would have had, and I've been saying that Celtic is a club, right? Maybe we need a wee bit of luck in the draw. But if we're winning games in that, Paul, our coefficient could go up, but it would need to go up a hell of a lot for us to end up in pot 2. So really, we're looking to get to like the pot 3 in the Champions League, and with a wee bit of luck in the draw, we can finish second and get through. But the minimum should be finishing third and dropping down to the next level, the Europa League level. That should be that's what the minimum should have been for Celtic for the last 10 years easily. And it's just whether it was short-sightedness, we low, whatever it was, but that's what it should have been, and it was just an abject failure.
I think, Mark, what like you said it here as well. Like the thing with Peter Law's tenure was, if we could keep ahead of Rangers, he was happy with that. Do you know what I mean?
That
You know,
seemed to be that
there
did seem to
wasn't
be the
about
kind of the business plan.
every manager wanted to take Celtic to that next step, but it seems like that he wasn't willing to go to that next step. Do you know what I mean? That's the way it kind of looked at, you know. But now there seem to be backing Ange more and letting Ange do the stuff. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
we already kind of strengthened there though this week in bringing in a new scout.
I knew that for the City group again, isn't it?
City group again, like, so they must be all jumping out over this in case their names get brought into the scandal of Man City. I said that's what they're jumping ship. You know, I'm surprised it kind of hasn't come up in the Union Bears saying, "Oh, there's a corruption against Celtic taking."
It has. It has. It's something they were talking about Oliver. They were talking about Encham and that. They should be looking into the kind of daft the transfers and stuff like that. Absolute garbage again. Moon howlers.
Jonas, because you haven't been with us for a while, and we haven't actually been talking about it, Mark, for a while in recent games.
Have you got a yet?
In VAR, but here's an interesting one for you, Mark.
Oh no, I thought we got. Have you got a bird yet, Jonas?
No.
What's happening, son?
I'm all right. The right one will come at the right time.
Do you know using the dating apps and that?
No, I can't be bothered with that, mate. It's too much.
Here's an interest. Do you remember, Mark, we were saying that Nick Walsh actually had a good game and in the Scottish Cup final, and I later found out that there was UEFA representatives at the Scottish Cup final watching the performance of Scottish referees. So I think that's why his performance was top notch.
Oh, the League Cup there last.
The League Cup, yeah. The League Cup,
right.
But there was UEFA officials at that from the Referee Association. They were going around to all leagues, looking at all referees. But I'm not saying it was like, but that could have been why his performance, but why we had no drama at the League Cup final.
It could be.
You know, because like. And like Jonas, like I was saying to Mark there, like when is the last time we saw a Scottish referee involved in international games? It's been a long time, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like the couple of them do like the Champions League or the Europa League games, and they do like referee. But like I said, there wasn't any Scottish representatives at the World Cup or anything like that.
No.
Or I'm not sure if there was any at the Euros in 2021 either. So. But like I say, that might have had a part to play in it. But normally, I think he just handled the game well in the sense that there wasn't. He got the big calls right. You know what I mean? And he wasn't too trigger happy with the bookings either. So sometimes,
which it should be, Jonas. Like it should be
correct, because too many referees try and control a game with cards, and that's not the right way to go about it. Trying to control a game by just lashing out bookings willy nilly, you know.
And your thoughts on the introduction of VAR this season, Jonas? Like we've been kind of critical on about it here and saying like how they justify these decisions that they make in VAR. What's your thoughts on that?
There's probably been a slight improvement from when it was first implemented, because I think when it was first implemented there was a number of contentious decisions, and you can sort of put that down to maybe teething problems and things like that, and referees getting used to a new system. But I personally don't think it should have been brought in halfway through the season after the World Cup. It should have been a case that you're either bringing it in at the start of the season or you're not, or you're bringing it in next year when it's got a full year. I wasn't keen on this getting done halfway through the season nonsense. That felt a bit strange. Surely if it was going to be ready to go, it would have been ready to go for the start of the season. If it wasn't ready to go, then implement it at the beginning of next year.
You know it's like, what if the league came down to a decision that happened before VAR get brought in, there'd be a moaning about that, or if VAR had been in, they'd have, like, do you know what I mean? If it'd only been a 2-point difference or something, there'd be some kind of dodgy decision.
Teams will have said, there'll have been incidents where teams have been done out of decisions in the first half of the season prior to VAR coming in, that then would have got later on in the season. So the people with us, you know what I mean? So there will be decisions that were given prior to VAR that would have been overturned, and then decisions that wouldn't have. So it created an imbalance anyway.
I even noticed as well that only us and the Rangers Cup games were using VAR this weekend.
Because they didn't have them in the first division stadiums.
Because they don't have it. Like, see, for example, Inverness Kilmarnock. But then when we played Kilmarnock in the cup, we chose not to use VAR because the clubs would have had to pay extra for it. The clubs decided to not use it. I think it's a case of, it's the same in the FA Cup down south and other leagues. If you're at a big stadium, they'll have it. If you're not, you know what I mean. That can't be helped. If it's not a system that's in place across the whole of the league structure from top to bottom, then you're going to get that disparity.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a disadvantage too, Mark. Like if one club is using VAR in the cup and then another team isn't using VAR in the cup, it's either one or the other. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I would think that. I would think that in the cup, to be honest.
You know, sure.
It's even the thing about it. It's like I put up on the live chat for the game yesterday. Like, was the cup final going to be on pay-per-view? And you said that it is for you, Paul, Northern Ireland, but somebody says we get it in BBC Two. I mean, you honest, it was a cup final day was a big day, wasn't it, when you were a wee boy?
Yeah.
No matter whether your team was in it or no, wasn't it? It was the cup final was a kind of big day. BBC One was fully for 10 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what I mean? I think for me the cup should always. I know they're all going about all the romance of the FA Cup, but the Scottish Cups, I think that's the oldest trophy in the world, is it no?
Yeah, it's the oldest cup competition.
We should be promoting that and keeping the kind of old, kind of misty-eyed ideals about it and that, just to try and get something.
Definitely. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to things like the cup. I love the Scottish Cup. I always look forward to the January because that's normally when we come into it, the same as yourself. I always look forward to the 4th or 5th round or whatever it is that when you enter it, because the Scottish Cup's always like the Scottish Cup's a brilliant tournament, especially for like clubs like ourselves, because realistically, unless there's an absolute freak season, you're not going to win the league. So your best chance of silverware is the 2 cup competitions. So we'll probably take it even more seriously. So, and the fact that it's free to air, it should always be free to air. Cup final should never be on pay TV. The League Cup final being on pay TV, I think it's a joke as well. I think both cup finals, your domestic cup competitions, the final should be accessible to everybody. Yeah.
See, that's what freaking scares me now, because I don't have BBC One Scotland here. I can only get normal BBC in England. I mean, so if they're not showing it, it's going to be on.
We can get BBC Northern Ireland, all right. Can you not get BBC Northern Ireland, Paul?
No, it'd be BBC England, like, you know, London. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's going. I said it to you, Mark, that this is how this Viaplay stuff make their money. Do you know what I mean? They bought.
You knew about this before it actually came out. Is it a Polish company or something?
No, Norwegian. They're Norwegian. But what they did when Canal Plus were in trouble, they bought all the rights in Poland, Jonas, to Canal Plus Premier League. And I used to always get the Premier League matches free on the Polish TV, you know. And since this Viaplay came in, every single Premier League match, bar one, and it's normally the 5:30 match on a Saturday, like it, is pay-per-view. So that's how they make their money. They put stuff on pay-per-view. And I actually will think, Mark, that it will come pay-per-view in a matter of years. And I said that they'll try it this year and they'll let BBC have it. But I think come down the line, Mark, that we could be paying pay-per-view to watch the Scottish League Cups and Scottish Cup, you know, because that's how they make their money. You know, everything's pay-per-view. You know,
I'll have a wee look into that, Paul, because there must be some kind of ruling that BBC's allowed to show the like Scottish Cup finals and that. There must be.
It's like there's that Crown Jewels thing where it's like Wimbledon, the Six Nations, the World Cup. There's something else that there's certain sporting events that can't be bought by that always have to be free to air, whether they're on pay-per-view or not.
Like something if it's a national sport within the thing. I think it can like cup games. I think you're right, Jones, about that. Like, but I'd be like, what if they like what I said to you, Mark? Is this the start of Viaplay trying to get into Scottish football? Do you mean are they going to try to get?
We just said, Paul, but when you said, Paul, this is maybe the reason that they signed that new deal with Sky.
Yeah. Why Sky rushed it in?
Aye, because there wasn't a need for that. When there no you're receiving it, we signed it too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Paul, and that's what Paul had been talking about just before it. Paul was talking about his Viaplay taking over that Premier Sports and that, and talking about it, and Paul said that this is he maybe trying to look into getting into like actual the Scottish game and starting getting pay-per-view games for the league stuff and all that. And then the next time we signed this long-term deal with Sky, which isn't really worth it. Do you know what I mean? It's no. We sell ourselves too short. We really do. I don't know why.
Well, Sky have already came out already, Mark, and said they're not going to meet the live quota of the SPL again this year. They haven't met it last year. They haven't met it last before, and then for the SPL then to go out and fucking do this, sign this deal, like knowing that Sky aren't meeting their criteria, it's just ridiculous. Like
that should be a breach of contract. And the SPL should have turned around and said to them, we're not signing any contract unless you get the games your quota filled. So if your quota is to show 60 games that season, you're showing 60 games.
Like I remember there, Jonas, there it was a midweek game, Mark, and Rangers were playing Hearts. I mean, that's games should be live in television if Sky was showing no other football, and they didn't bother to show that SPL game. Like they've no interest in it, no interest whatsoever in the SPL.
They'd rather show you women's football and push women's football down your throat than put Scottish games on.
Yeah.
The thing is, as well, I don't care what anybody says, right? We need to be a wee bit more creative with it, like you say, like the Saturday night kickoffs that we've had against Aberdeen this season. They should do that. They should make that a thing, like a Saturday night football as well, like because it's a better fan experience.
Going to come in, Jonas, under the new contract.
Have Friday night games and stuff like that as well. Get the fans engaged. Like obviously Saturday at 3 p.m. should still be your 80% of your game should be Saturday at 3 p.m. But why not do Saturday night games and things like that, Friday night games? Get a wee bit more creative as well, you know what I mean, and get a bit more.
I just think as well.
See when Sky Telly first came out in the UK years ago, it was saying a Friday night they showed the Bundesliga, and nobody'd seen that. Do you get what I mean? With Channel 4 were showing the Italian football, and then all of a sudden, this week on the satellite started showing you the Bundesliga, and I think it was a 6:30 kickoff, and it was like we were getting together with a carryout to sit and watch the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? It became part of our kind of our normie. We'd sit there and we'd watch whatever Bundesliga game was on the Friday night. Then we'd go to the Celtic game on a Saturday, watch the Italian game on a Sunday, and then maybe an English game on the late. When it used to be just at 4 o'clock. That was all you got. It was a Super Sunday. At 4 o'clock kickoff. And then the Monday night came in as well. But it's saturated now.
What I always used to remember, Mark, about the Channel 4. The tag was the baldy fella with the glasses.
It's funny you mentioned that, James Richardson, because I'm watching Golazzo live just now on BT Sport, and he's on it. He's presenting it.
Is that still going?
It's on BT Sport now. Yeah, so Golazzo live, so you get the goals from all the weekend and the build-up show to the 7:45 kickoff.
He's around so a long time, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been around since like the early. I think it was the early 90s. He started presenting.
Aye.
Football
sitting outside wee cafes on a Saturday morning, drinking wee toty cups of coffee with the
newspapers on front of him.
Sitting in the sun. Sitting in the sun overnight, and you're looking out your window. Then it's pissing rain. Just getting depressed.
But that's what I'm saying. It like that. There was no other games on at that time, so you kind of people start watching it. In Scotland, we get kind of bullied about and shoved away to these teams that nobody's bothering their backside with, and we just accept it. I mean, mind the guy it's no Eddie Hearn, that's the son, and what's the dad's name? Barry Hearn.
Barry Hearn, aye.
I mean, I know he's a bit of a shyster and a bit dodgy, but mind he said that we were just going about it all wrong. He had the right idea. I'm not saying we should give somebody like that control of the Scottish game, but you should get these guys, see these guys that have dragged snooker up all the years. Snooker's kind of get more money, and all these other sports now. We should get these guys that, how could we go about promoting what we're doing to maximise the money coming in, make it more like a product that people want to sit and watch and get involved in? Because really, I mean, us guys only interested in Celtic Rangers games.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a toss about anything else, really. They don't in Scotland. And we should never have get shot at BT. Because BT their due, Jonas. BT were doing a good job promoting Scottish football and that.
Their coverage was always good. You got the inside the SPFL on a Friday, so you got that show. Then you got your games. It was well covered. They took an interest in all the teams, and you got a larger variety of games. Like you said, it wasn't just Celtic and Rangers games. You would get Motherwell against Ross County, because at the end of the day, their fans still want to see their team on the telly as well. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Mm-hmm. Like we didn't even get the relegation battle last season back at the end of the season last year with Sky Sports.
No, that's right. Aye, I hadn't mind you saying that, Paul.
You know, we didn't even get that, and they were then like not meeting their quota, and like these are games like what Jonas is saying. They're like Jonas, like I know you probably is there Dundee United TV? There is a Dundee United TV, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a club TV channel.
Yeah, like if you're not going to the match, like if say something, like if you were sick or something like that, if you're not, like there's no way for you to watch Dundee United Football Club unless you have, and some people these days just don't have that money to buy Dundee United FC subscriptions, you know.
And the thing is as well, you have to get it on a Fire Stick or a stream, because the club TV is only for people like with the UK. So
I was just going to say that
exactly,
as well.
yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
You can't, so unless you have a way to circumnavigate your IP address or whatever, so yeah, I mean, they're just putting objects in the way of people being able to watch games of football.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like that's the same here, Mark. I told you that when Vonica wanted to buy me the Celtic TV, and it was actually audio only. Before it used to be outside the UK, but then they put in UK and Ireland. Sky Sports actually put that in because of the 3 p.m. kickoff thing, of course, here as well.
Sorry, Jonas, did I book you there, bud?
No, a pop-up came up on my phone and I accidentally clicked it and it took me off the chat.
My OnlyFans page.
Aye, that's it, aye.
Aye. Oh, don't worry, I'll give you VIP access, don't worry.
Well,
I hear that as well. BT Sports, they're getting took out with TNT Sports for July. Right,
Yeah,
I don't know. I can remember years and years ago, man. There used to be a TNT channel on.
It's an American sports broadcaster.
Aye, well, it was no, but it was Jonas. It was you used to watch the old WCW wrestling.
Yeah,
that's where you watched that TNT Sports, whereas like the WWE was on like Sky or whatever it was at the time. I don't know if that's the same firm making a comeback.
I have it.
Is it not that Ted Turner? Is that not who
Yeah.
it is? Aye, is it the same guy? Aye.
I think
I
so,
have TNT sports channels on the Porter satellite and all their movie channels.
I'm sure it's a big telly mogul guy called Ted Turner or something that owns that.
No, BT is getting taken over by it. They'll continue, all the programs in that will remain the same. It'll just be rebranded, the channel, eh?
Mm-hmm. But go by what we're talking, Mark, like I know we kind of talked about before, but how do they promote the SPL? Like, you know what I mean? If they're only kind of going to one subscriber every year, when there seems to be more newer kind of providers trying to get into the thing, like, and we just seem to be always sticking with Sky Sports. And to be honest, like the pre-match coverage is shocking. The after-match coverage is cut within 10 minutes after the game is finished to get back onto the Premier League games. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, or a women's Premier League game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. Maybe it's just kind of. See, like we're talking about like Peter Lowell's, you know, as long as we're like one step in front of Rangers, will be all right. Maybe we just think as long as we're with Sky, everyone's just been a tickety booed, let's no rock the boat kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They should put it out to tender. They should turn around and say to Sky, BT, Amazon, Netflix, Viaplay, whatever, should say, right, this is the product that we're ESPN or whatever, this is the product that we've got, put and promote it, and then just say we're wanting value for our money, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And like what Joe there saying there as well, Jonas, like, you know what I mean, like we said with a goal, like you have to meet your quota, do you know what I mean? You can't decide not to show fucking 6 games at the end of the season because you wanted to show the Premier League or you wanted to show the Championship. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what's happening. They're showing league. I remember, what was it, Mark? It was a League One game, I think, between and Celtic were playing the midweek game, and they started showing a League One game. Do you know, like the thing is, get me, like, they have this fixture list at the start of the season.
Aye, should be. Aye, and as I said, Paul, the bounce us about for pillar to post when it comes to kick-off time, so there's plenty of scope to meet the criteria. And even, Paul, it goes back to when we were, we'll say about this 5-year agreement and stuff like that, right? And they said, Sky bother about as long as they're guaranteed for, it was like all firm derby games a year. League. That was impossible for us to guarantee that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because see, when you're working a league that's got a split in it, right? I know it would have been a big shot for it to happen, but if one else had ended up in that bottom 6 there right away, but we've broke a contract with Sky because we guaranteed them 4 games a season, and that's when that becomes actually illegal. Like, you're going into kind of match fixing when you start guaranteeing you're getting that kind of levelly coverage. But as I said, that's all Sky care about. The rest of it, I mean, no offence to Jonas and that, but Dundee United and Aberdeen and things like that, they're just shitting the shoe to Sky really when it comes to Scottish football.
And you see, how many times do you see that, like, they've got the wrong graphics or the wrong team names or the wrong player? Like, they were promoting Hibs against Motherwell or something, and then they had James Tavernier as the graphic for, like, the Hibs player, and you're sitting there going, it's just lazy. That just smacks so we don't give a toss, and we're just making the bare minimum to tick a box. That's all that suggests to me. You know what I mean?
If somebody's job's to sit there and put pictures of the players onto graphics, they can't even be asked to do that, right? Just as you said, it's just laziness and no kind of interest in what they're actually doing.
No.
Speaking of just touching it there, Mark, quickly, I know it's not about Celtic, but it came out there in the last couple of days about Barcelona kind of throw money towards referee associations over in Spain. I know yours did you hear about that? Would you know more about that? Will you watch?
I've not actually heard about that, but that kind of thing doesn't surprise me. It's not any different to the.
They actually. It was actually Real Madrid.
I said to Mike earlier, I'm more surprised that it's come out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not surprised it's been going on. I'm more surprised that
I think, Mark, what happened was
public domain.
It was said.
We mad mental guys, Paul.
It was said to in a conversation over dinner by a former referee official in the Spanish Association that said it in passing to the Real Madrid president, and he went then to the Spanish FA, told them that this needs to be investigated, and supposedly that they actually do have evidence of it happening. Do you know what I mean? And if you look back, like, over the years of Barcelona, I think some of the decisions that they used to be getting by referees were scandalous. Do you know what I mean? Blatant dives and stuff like that over the years. Like, you know what I mean?
It's not any different to what's went on with Juventus and what's went on with them again in Italy. And I would be surprised if you went and investigated the likes of Bayern Munich. I'm not saying that they've done it, but it wouldn't shock you if all these big clubs, PSG, if they came out with announcements and saying that they'd been paying bribes to referees or because you see by the decisions that are given to some of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with that, Jonas. At the top level, do you know what I mean? And even going back years, going back to when Marseille won the Champions League and stuff like that, and Tapi was bribing refs and stuff. And I'm sure there's even stories years ago as well about, was it was it Man United? One of the big English teams went out to Russia or something like that. And it turned out that the ref was getting hookers sent up to his room and this big fancy Russian jewelled watch stuff and all that. So that's been going on for years. But as Jonas says, at these big, massive clubs, there's a lot of stuff goes on in the scenes that they don't want to come out. Do you know what I mean?
What happened in the European Cup with Dundee United against Roma when they got cheated by the referees and stuff, and that all came
That's
out,
right,
you know what I mean?
that's right. That's right as well, Jonas. That's right.
Do you think anything would come down the line here, Mark, with some of the decisions we've seen favoured? Like you obviously see too late, Jonas. Like some,
but you need to prove them. They were getting bungs or something.
I don't
think
you know what my take on that whole thing is. I don't think there's anybody getting bungs. I think they're just incompetent, Because the refereeing across the board. I mean, the referee that we had on Wednesday night at Livingston was an absolute disgrace. A young lad. And honestly, some of his decisions were like one of my pals actually said on Twitter after the game, he said that he thought his dying words were going to be some foul-mouthed rant at the referee because I about fucking done him in. But honestly, mate, it was incomprehensible, some of the decisions that they're making. And I just think that the general training of the referees, the way it's done in this country, it's just poor. I don't think there's anybody corrupt. There might have been in the past, and there's maybe refs that have lent towards teams subconsciously or whatever, or there's maybe been a bias here or there. But I just think incompetence is the biggest problem we've got in this country.
Incompetence and inconsistency, Jonas.
Yeah,
correct.
You know, because that's what we were saying, Mark.
I mean, but I keep saying it as well. All these referees in Scotland, they all come from the same neck of the woods and stuff like that, and that's got to change.
Yeah, they all come from like the East Coast or the Central Belt. You need to have a more diverse. There should be a quota of officials that a certain percentage of officials they need to divvy it up. They need to say, right, you need 25% referees from this part of the country, 15% from say the Highlands and Islands. You need 30% from the Central Belt. And then spread it out that way so there's a bit of diversity.
And they've got to declare any allegiances or ties to a certain team.
Yeah, if you're a season ticket holder at a club or something like that, you can't be involved in refereeing that club, and you can't be involved in a game that could have permutations on that. Say, for example, you're in charge of a game and that could relegate the team that you supported or something like that. If the team wins, then you can't. Whenever there's going to be circumstances that will have an impact on another team, you can't be involved in that either if it's a team that you've declared as that you support, like they have to do down south. So no, the whole.
Do they need to do that in Europe, Jonas? Do you know?
Yeah, I think so, and that's what we need to get right in this country. That needs to be the next thing that they should be tackling, or the next big thing that they should be tackling in this country, in my opinion, is the standard of officiating.
And see that what we're talking about there, right? Open it up to other sections of the country or whatever you want to call it. But that thing about declaring any allegiances or connections to a certain club, that would go a hell of a long way to wipe out all this paranoia.
Yeah, and the conspiracy theory.
It would go a hell of a long way to wipe that out with one rule. One rule change would help wipe out a hell of a lot of that.
That would.
Well,
I don't know if you've been on that. I keep saying, Jonas, that UEFA should take charge of refereeing. Do you know what I mean? And like a bunch of Scottish referees should get sent to fucking Croatia or something every weekend to referee their games, and a bunch of Bulgarians come out here to referee our games, and it's all under the kind of UEFA kind of umbrella.
Well, I'm just going to touch on something that you sort of alluded to there. I don't know if you boys remember, but remember when the referees went on strike over pay and the foreign referees came and refereed the weekend, the fixtures? I think we had a boy from the Faroe Islands played Aberdeen that weekend. And he was brilliant, wasn't he? No problems. I can't remember us having I think the feedback from fans across the country, that was back then, and the social media wasn't as prevalent. So you used to do your main online chat back then used to be like your football forums or whatever, like, you know, your message boards. But like the sort of general consensus on those message boards seemed to be that the standard of refereeing was far better.
Remember, Mark, do you remember when Bobby Madden ref the Europa League game, and actually two teams came out and said base
teams put in a complaint against him, didn't they?
The standard of refereeing, and That's what I just think it is. Like I actually don't know, Jonas. Like, do they actually know the rules of the game? Sometimes, do you know what I mean?
I remember that was Malaga against Dortmund where he gave a
Oh,
scandalous offside decision
and slated him, like, you know what I mean? Slated him over it, like, and that's actually the last time I actually saw a Scottish official doing a European game.
And I think the referee should, like, you know how players have a pre-season. I think the referee should do a pre-season when they're brought in to do a course and they're told, right, you're sitting an exam every year and then you get your tickets for the next season. Not a case of you pass your officiating course once, that's you. It should be a case of you do a refresher course every year where, like, law changes, say the offside rules change, the handball rules change, especially with the VAR. They should be sending all our officials on a 6-week learning course over the thing and working with VAR and putting like you know how you do your hazard perception for your driving test, sort of similar scenario like that. You present them a lot VAR decisions or whatever.
What if scenarios and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. And say to them, right, this is what's happened in this scenario. How would you do that? And then you've got to pass a competency score to then retain your license for the following year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea, Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
But do they not do things like that?
They probably do. I mean, I'm not sure. They obviously do a fitness test. I know that they do have to pass certain regulations to get their qualifications and that. But like I say, they should be doing something like that on a yearly basis. I know they probably do it, but it should be a wee bit and probably more in depth than what it is. Or then they should have an individual meeting with the referees and say, right, we'll review a performance review of the year. This is what we've given you. This is your overall score. Or we've given you an 8 out of 10 rating for or whatever, and this is what you can improve on. And you know what I mean? There should be a lot more sort of like scrutiny of referees.
I've said that 100 times. I think as well, Jonas, that referees should be they should be after the game. They should be answering questions about why they made kind of certain decisions during games and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no. I mean, I don't know if referees have kind of meetings to talk about stuff that went over the weekend themselves, but there's no actual scrutiny for them. They make they don't even make a decision now. VAR makes a decision 99% of the time.
No, I think they do. I think they have a meeting on a Monday or something, or it's like done electronically, or however they do it via Zoom, or I don't know how they do it.
Get their stories on straight.
they review their performances from the weekend or whatever, and that's how you see referees. If, say, for example, someone's had a howler, they get demoted to a lower league or whatever. You know what I mean?
It doesn't happen enough, does it?
No.
That's it really doesn't. Evening, you, Deef. Nice to see you again, mate.
Well, you saw there, Mark, a couple of weeks ago.
There's no accountability for referees.
You saw there a couple of weeks ago down in England, the fella Mason, when he made that error in the Arsenal game with the lines in VAR, and he was told to step down from VAR. You know?
Correct.
So like, is the problem here in Scotland is who's above these referees, that they're not being punished for making these decisions, Jonas? Do you know what I mean?
The panel of referees or whoever, like, I would imagine that there's like a delegate that goes to every game that oversees it or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they need to be more proactive in the way that they need to be coaching the referees as well. Referees are making, I mean, how many times after a game do you go back to the pub and the first thing you and your mates moan about, aside from the result, is you'll whinge about a refereeing performance? I mean, that's all we spoke about on the way back from Livingston on Wednesday night.
And it shouldn't be like that, Jonas. Do you know what I mean?
No,
it should be about the game, like, you know what I mean? You know?
But you're spending 3/4 of your after-match debrief with your pals or whatever, or whoever you go to the games with, talking about the standard of refereeing. And it's been going on for years, so the fact that has been a reoccurring theme for as long as this, surely something's got to be done about it.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I keep saying as well, Jonas, see when we come on here talking about VAR and refs and all that, even I'll still see some decisions we've got that's went out for us with VAR that I think still a bit dubious. I'll still call it out.
Oh, no,
do you know what I mean? Because you need just to try and be fair about it. Do you know what I mean?
The one thing, Mac, I don't get about football, and I will never understand it at this moment, is the handball rule inside the back. Because if the ball hits any part of your hand now, accidentally or any part, like it's a penalty. Do you know what I mean? There's no favouritism to the defender if he's trying to get his hand out of the way or thing. But if he's still trying to get it away and it still hits his hand, it's a penalty. I just don't understand the handball.
It's one of the ones. It's like it's like 5 out of 10 times it's given and 5 out of 10 times it isn't. So it's blurred lines. There's no. I keep getting back to it. The one against Hearts at the very start of the season with the Hearts player. Do you know what I mean? The Burnaby one against Dundee United. There's no clear. Is there any such thing really as a clear-cut penalty these days?
No, and
unless somebody's actually getting booted up there in the box, do you know what I mean?
And can anybody actually sit and explain what the actual handball rule is?
I don't know anymore. No. I really don't anymore. And that's the point I was trying to say. I actually don't know what the handball rule is at the moment within football.
Well, there was one during the week where a Livingston player sliced it on his, like he missed the clearance and it ran behind him and it came off the boy's hand. And I don't even think VAR looked at it. Now, I'm not saying it was a penalty. The boy's hands were by his side. But you're sitting there going, you just shout for anything nowadays in the box because you don't know what's going to be given and what's not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even the offside rule. I mean, honestly, even the offside rule, Jonas, you and Mikey sit and talk about football do you understand what the offside rule is these days?
No, well, we
when they start with all these lines and stuff, you're like...
Yeah, and now I've just seen a thing here, and I'm just watching the Italian game here, and they've got a virtual VAR now as well. So what it does is it's a computer automated one. You'll see it in the Champions League as well, and it's basically foolproof in the sense it's like goal line technology. If one part of the player's body is thick, then it's offside. Like there was a boy just given offside there, and literally about half an inch his heel was offside, and he was actually had his back to goal before he made the run. And they've taken it back and disallowed the goal because the virtual offside, you know what I mean? So,
do you agree with that?
I think it's too fine a margin. Like, I mean, boys are getting punished now for the size of their feet. If you've got size 8 feet, exactly, but you wear size 10 boots, your goals are going to be chopped off because you're a toe offside. You know what I mean?
I see all the time, Jonas. See for like an offside decision, the ref should go and look at the monitor, right, and then decide. See if I was staring right at that in real time. Would have said offside.
No, if you're having to get it to the point where you're looking at people's, like you say, the size of someone's foot, or you're looking for as a guy's toe half an inch offside, that I think you're going too far. Because I think now,
if they're bringing all this technology, Mark, like what Jones is saying there, like what's the point in having lines, man? Do you know what I mean?
And the thing is, I think they're just looking for any excuse to rule something out now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that seems to be what it is with Celtic anyway, Jonas, for what we watch, isn't it? Every Celtic goes.
I mean, Mark, they checked. What goal was it? Haksabanovich's goal there last week. Mark, they checked there, and it was outside the box. Do you know what I mean? And they checked it offside.
It's as if they're looking for anything to chalk off a Celtic goal.
They did that with our equaliser on Wednesday night as well. The boy, Nicky Devlin's, playing the boy on by about 4 yards, and then they still had a lengthy VAR check. And you could see in real time that was never offside. So how were they taking as long to check it?
I think that's as well, Jonas, that needs improving next season is the amount of time it's taking to make these decisions. I mean, it should just be a quick to see an offside rule. Do you know what I mean?
Or even do what they do in like other sports where there's a certain amount of time that you're allowed to review it for or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And if you can't make a decision within that time, it goes to the favour of the forward, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the on-field decision stands if you can't, because if you're having to deliberate over something for 6-7 minutes, or it's maybe not as long as that, but 3 or 4 minutes, then you know that you're just looking for something.
But it's like 3 and 4 minutes, and then the ref needs to go and look at it. That's what gets on my wick. See if there's a VAR decision to be made, the ref should be out at that screen right away and talking to VAR and looking at it.
They should just say to the ref, right, go to your monitor when you...
none of this stone in the middle of the field for 4 minutes.
Well, that's what happened today, Mark. That's what happened today when...
and then they had the wee pose that they need to stand and hold the headphone into their ear as if it makes it sound better and that.
You know what I mean? Like, we say if there's a tackle and the referee gives a yellow card, and if VAR thinks it's serious, they should be on the earpiece straight away. Like, just go off to the monitor there, have a look at this tackle. Do you know what I mean? It's VAR now that's doing these decisions for them. And there was clear proof at that time, Mark, when we were playing
Look at Greg Taylor. Look at Greg Taylor penalty.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, the ref was. See, for me, that's one of the. What I said there. A ref should go and look at the screen and say, right, if I was just staring right at that situation in real time, would I give that as an offside, or would I give that as a foul? Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be a case of, oh, we'll slow it down to the nth degree. The referee at that Greg Taylor penalty had a perfect view of it. He was staring straight at it and didn't give it, and yet VAR pulled him up for it.
Yeah.
So who's deciding what VAR's checking?
Any tackle as well, Mark, looks worse in slow motion. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know?
Who's actually making the final decision? Who was it? The ref the other week. Aye, the ref the other week.
It's not my decision. Straight out to Cal McGregor when he went up, and he said, and Willie Cullen was actually in the VAR, and he said, it's not my decision. You know, so like it's either one or the other that's making the. I don't know, maybe next season it'll improve, or as Jonas says, like it seems to be kind of gradually improving, Mark. Like there seems to be less decisions.
Aye, one game nothing happens in it, then the next game you're ripping your hair out it again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's the kind of way it seems to be.
But does that really, Denmark, depend on who's in charge of VAR? Maybe they want the attention, like what we're just saying there. Like, do they want to be, do you know what I mean, the centre of the game? Who's on VAR? Which VAR shouldn't be involved in the game anyway, do you know what I mean? Unless they have to be.
Go and ask that, who's the wee baldy English guy, the referee?
Mason.
No, he's an old Gallagher, isn't it? Something Gallagher.
Yeah, Gallagher, yeah, down in yeah.
Bring him up, put him in charge of VAR. Tell him to put a team together that can check VAR for Scottish football. But do you know what? He's not got any kind of stake in the game up here, so say to him here, get a wee crowd of your ex-refereeing buddies for doing in England to do your VAR for us.
Yeah, because they've not got a dog in the fight as far as a team.
Aye. So that's what I meant. I said, what did I say? Beefing. Aye, but you're saying you're on the side, you've
I actually look forward, Mark, to listening to him.
Nothing like that.
If there's dodgy decisions in Scotland, it doesn't matter what team it is, they actually look at everything, and I actually listen to every Monday to see what he says about the decision. You know,
because I mean, we're biased. You know what I mean? Stuff will happen to Celtic players that we think, he should have got sent off for that, or we should have got a penalty for that. Jonas will be the same with Dundee United and stuff like that. But we still try and look at things like fairly and balanced. That Dermot Gallagher, he's just giving his opinion on stuff that I'm no biased. I don't care if Dundee United beat Rangers or fucking Celtic beat Hibs or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of give guys like that a bit of credence and listen to them. That's what I would do, Paul. Somebody like that, get him up to kind of overhaul the refereeing system and the VAR system or whatever.
Definitely. Correct. You know, it's one area of the Scottish football that kind of needs to step up. You know what I mean? If you look at the Cork City match last night, I mean, 95th minute, Cork City winning 2-1. Sligo.
Were you at that?
No, I was in Sligo. It was up in Sligo.
Oh,
right. I was watching it on the League of Ireland TV, Mark, and the players outside the box, right? He's running. He puts his knee over onto the Cork City defender and throws himself to the floor outside the box. Clearly outside the box now, right? Referee gives a penalty. And you're looking going, where in the fucking name of God did you get this decision from? Like, you know what I mean? And I swear last night, man, I was screaming at that fucking that laptop last night. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm looking going, gee, like, how would these people referee? Is it maybe because they're amateur, Mark? Is it because they're amateur referees and they're not full-time referees? And that's the same in Scotland, Mark. They're not full-time referees. Is it time we actually pay full-time referees?
Are your referees any worse or better than yours?
Well, Mark, like there's a few here, Mark, that are good, and I will say that. But we're in this opinion down here in Ireland. If the referees from Dublin, Cork City aren't going to get a good game, do you know?
Aye.
You know, and if the referees outside Dublin, we will get a good. Do you know what I mean? So there's always that.
There's always going to be that, Paul.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Even when I say about checking where, like, who refs support, there's always got to be, his cousin was in the Orange Walk. Do you know what I mean? Shit like that. But I mean, right, it's Scottish, right? I mean, the rest of Europe sneers down its nose at Scottish football, and Scottish football even sneers down its nose at Irish football, right? Would you agree with that?
I would think so, Mark. Yeah.
Aye, but I'm talking about like the referees. Would you see if you see the refereeing standards of the League of Ireland? They could switch either way with Scotland. That's what I'm saying.
Of course they could, Mark. I think.
No, I mean, user look, Tony, is an even lesser league than us, but your referees are just the same kind of level.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, when I was watching when we were up in Vonnegu's mum's house, her cousin he's a Lega Wasser fan. He was watching the match. And you see the use of VAR. Do you know what I mean? There was no freaking 5-minute delays to make decisions. There was no as what you're saying there, Mark, straight out to my referee's phone. Nothing here, play on. Do you know what I mean? There was no delays. The referees' decisions were spot on. And do you know what I mean? It's not about the referees over there. They're getting on with the game. Do you know what I mean? And
a lot of referees out here want to be the kind of star of the show as well.
Yeah, and there's one fan in particular, Mark, and I'm blatantly standing by my opinion on Willie Cullum, is that when Rangers come play, and I know you're on speak, you could actually come in this, that I think it was about under the Steven Gerrard.
They complained about me, didn't get a game for years. Why?
He never ever got a Rangers game. And it was only this season he's getting these games back. And I'm actually thinking he's afraid to give decisions against Rangers in case he doesn't get Rangers games again, Jonas.
Yeah, well, like I say, you're going down dangerous territory then, because if teams start putting in complaints about referees, then all of a sudden, all it takes is for one bad refereeing performance and a manager to come out and say, right, I don't want this referee. Next thing, you'll have a list of referees that one referee can't do St Mirren games, the next referee can't referee Aberdeen.
And I don't think, that's what I'm saying, Jonas. Like, I don't think any club should have the right to say we don't want that referee reffing our game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly that's it. If you've got a grievance with them privately, then go to the head of referees behind the scenes or write an email as a club, but don't come out and do it publicly.
Get through the right channels.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it was Rangers were making statements on Twitter and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
They turned the whole thing into a circus, and then now we don't call them referees against Rangers. He subconsciously, that's always going to be hanging over him. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's why I think he's afraid to give decisions, Mark, in case they do another fucking letter. Like no team should be able to dictate who's reffing their matches, Mark. Not even Celtic. Do you know what I mean?
No, we'll do Jonas. We'll get into wee mini Mikey's evenings born. We'll get him to turn into a ref, right? We'll get wee mini Mikey on the refereeing path and that.
Because he'll never get he'll tell him not to wear his Celtic jersey songs. He'll never get a match. You know what I mean? He's a slice where you're from. Who'd you support? Do you think that's going on? Who'd you support in the referees, Mark? Did you say something?
But it should be.
No,
Paul, it Disney going, but it should be.
Yeah.
It's like down in England, right? Maybe I'm a wee bit out, right? You have to declare, like, if you or your family members got season tickets for any club, if any of your families had any kind of professional connections to a club. I don't mean working with stewards and stuff like that, but if your brother's been a player with a team or something like that, and I'm sure there's even some in Jonas, this is the one at Disney, if you stay in a certain postcode, you can't manage you can't referee games in certain other postcodes.
Yeah, that happened, Mark, because...
Is that right? Aye, the actual postcode where you stay is.
I don't know, it could have been a Spurs game or an Arsenal game, but we just say Spurs were playing and the referee actually had ties to Arsenal. That was his team he followed, and he was actually taken off the Spurs game for that weekend, and someone else was put in there, and so that actually does happen down down in the thing.
I
like,
mean, I don't care who you grew up supporting, right? See if you come to the kind of level, right? There, Jonas, right? Jonas, if you'd ever became a ref, right? You're a Dundee
but is there any
United
referee
fan.
from your area, Mark? Sorry for cutting across. Is there a referee from Dundee that's on the Scottish FA panel, Jonas?
I think there is a couple, but I think they're lower league refs. They
Aye.
don't get the.
They don't get up to the top level. That's kept down to kind of regional levels of that, isn't it?
And is that the
One of
problem?
them-
So, Mark, they're not given a chance then either, so are they?
One of them, the boy Mike Ronco, he's a United fan, and he referees in the Championship in League 1 and League 2, but I don't think he does he maybe referees lower end Premier League games, but he's mainly a Championship level ref, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy, I'm not saying he's getting held back because he's for Dundee, but there's what I'm saying. Why not have these guys pushed up?
Exactly, Mark. Like, it make you think.
And break up this kind of, as I keep calling it, the Lanarkshire Mafia.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All these referees off for the same kind of area and on the same wee kind of circle of friends and stuff like that. It's just, and that gets back to like Hugh Dallas, when Hugh Dallas was a referee. Because years before that, there was referees for Scotland refereed games. Do you know what I mean? And it's just early, maybe last, 20 years that it's all became this kind of totally closed off wee unit, and there's no accountability. They just do what they want and get away with it. Nobody ever questions them about anything. Nobody's allowed to question them about anything.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Moving on. Jesus Christ, you could do a whole podcast about refereeing in Scotland. There's so much scandal going on there. This weekend, Celtic take on Hibs, and Dundee United are home to St Mirren. We just start with ourselves first, Mark. Hibs coming to think. I think with Hibs at the moment, it's hit and miss. It's like what we're saying about Hearts or what we're saying about Aberdeen. It's what Hibs teams turn up, Mark. You know what I mean? And I'm not being kind of biased towards Celtic, but I do think Celtic should get a win here, Mark, next week.
I don't see anybody taking enough Celtic at Celtic Park, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be arrogant or that.
I think what Ange has done with Celtic, Mark, especially at home. He's made, and just to get your opinion, to be honest, like Ange has made Celtic Park a fortress again, and it's like we've seen under Lennon, teams weren't afraid to come to Celtic underneath Lennon, but with Ange and with his style of play, I think teams actually fear now coming to Celtic Park again.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, no, it's one of those places where, like I say, the occasions are. A lot of teams are probably defeated before they step off the bus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a place where many teams go and get anything from.
They're probably the full kind of weeks been all about damage limitation, isn't it?
Yeah,
their coaching and their training towards the game. It's all kind of, that's 5-man defence and then we'll pack 4 in there, isn't it? So that kind of way, as you say, Jonas, they're just turning up trying to keep the score down, really, isn't it?
Then I think a lot of teams are planning on going there and trying to be open or expansive. You know what I mean? Because you try and play that kind of football, then you'll get ripped apart. But then you come in and park the bus and concede an early goal, you can get a tank in as well. So it's just probably one of those ones where damage limitation, just get out of Dodge. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think most teams is that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
If we can get out if we can get out of Celtic Park with just 2 or 3 nothing, we'll be quite happy, kind of thing, isn't it?
Aye.
Mm-hmm. Jonas, there's one player I want to get your thoughts on before we get to Dundee United. Was
Toby?
No, it was Aaron Moy. I think every Celtic fan was. We were questioning that signing, considering how fast Celtic play and with his age and him kind of not playing football over in China, and we really doubted him. But he's come a big part of Ange's plans at Celtic now, and he just seems to a player now that you can't let out of the team. Aaron Moy.
No, he looks a really good player, and he's come in and he's done the right. you know, like he seems to suit the way that they play. He's an intelligent player, good on the ball and stuff like that. So yeah, it's turned into a good sign. And there was a few eyebrows raised, probably even with Celtic fans, about him going there. But then, like you say, and looking back on it now, he's turned into a good signing.
I was one of them. I
think, Mark,
you want to answer? I know you spoke about it earlier, but I give you that you Deef a wee answer on that. What do you think of the appointment of Goodwin?
Aye, like you says earlier, yeah, I think it's a good appointment, and I think it's a steady hand, and it's someone that will get the respect of the dressing room, which is what we're needing. And like we've already looked more sound defensively, and he's kind of just stripped it back to basics, concentrating on getting more balls in the box. He stopped us playing out from the back, and it's all about being hard to beat. So, like I say, it's as good appointment as any, considering who was available and the circumstances to give it a go of trying to stay up. Like,
just Jonas as well. Like we were speaking earlier about Joe Hart and Celtic looking at a keeper, and it's a position where if you get it wrong, it'll cost you. We saw that with Barkas, Mark, but you really haven't kind of replaced Seagrass.
No,
I think it's Benetti seems to be.
He's an absolute disaster. He's been a disaster.
He doesn't seem like a comfortable goalkeeper to me. You know?
He had, even Wednesday night there was a scuffed shot for a Livingston player straight at him. He somehow fumbled it onto the inside of the post, and he got lucky it came back to him. But he looks a bomb scare. You're not actually confident he's going to make any saves, eh? So, no, like I was talking about it during the week there to a couple of boys who said, normally with Benji last season, he probably won us 10 to 12 points. I reckon that Benetti had the opposite effect, and he's probably cost me between 10 to 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes to show how important the goalkeeping position is.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember, I think it was 2 seasons ago, Jonas, you had Seagrass and Carson.
Yep.
You know what I mean? 2 steady goalkeepers who you'd be comfortable with one or the other coming in. Do you know what I mean? And now to go into the position we are now, and I'm always disbelieve as well, like in playing goal for years like that. If your defense isn't comfortable with you at the back, you're behind them, it just breeds into that defense as well, like, you know.
Correct, yeah. The defence looks shaky because they don't trust the goalkeeper, whereas the centre halves the past couple of years have trusted the goalkeeper. And like I say, letting Trevor Carson go was a mistake as well, because he's now doing well at St Mirren.
Yeah, exactly.
Goalkeeper. I'd have him over who we've got any day of the week.
You know, really is, Mark, into like Dundee United had 2 decent goalkeepers on their hands, and
now
they're
both of them kind of slipped away a bit.
Yeah, it seems. I think that was one that I mentioned it earlier, like Mark with Dundee United. The problem was with them is that they're leaking goals, and they're not scoring goals, and that was a problem. And
But what about Welsh, Jonas? Were you disappointed you didn't get Welsh on loan?
I would have took him, yeah, exactly. But I think it was something to do with the fact that Fox turned around and said, "Oh, well, he wouldn't have been guaranteed game time," but he would have been playing ahead of Edwards for me, because he's an absolute shocker of a season this year. So, that was another one that sort of slipped away. But like I say, we've given ourselves a chance with the appointment of Goodwin and that. So hopefully we can, like I say, get enough points in the last 10 games to stay up.
I'd be really, really surprised if you get relegated, to be honest.
What would it do? What financially, honest, if it did happen, God forbid it doesn't, like, but as the club as a whole, like, are you financially secure to?
The owners came out and said that if it did get relegated, then it wouldn't be an absolute disaster. But obviously, you would have to strip your wage bill back. You would have to get rid of all your high earners. You obviously wouldn't be able to get the same quality of player in the Championship. I mean, if we did go down, we'd probably be the biggest club in the league, so we should have a budget big enough to come straight back up if the worst did happen.
Like, it wouldn't be the same as a couple of years back, Jonas. It took you about 2-3 years to get back up. Like,
it took us 4 seasons. No, I think we would give it a pretty good go at going back up first time if that was to happen. But obviously, it's a situation that we're hoping to avoid.
Youth
with the 30 point. I mean, it's not as if we're sitting with 3 games to go, Jonas, and you're looking for 3 points to break that gap. I'd see if I was you, I'd be quite confident you're going to be all right. I really would.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Jonas, like, sorry to cut across, like, with Fox, you want taking points off the teams in and around you. Like, losing that game 3-1 to Ross County was a big blow. And that seems to be the problem. You haven't been taking points off the teams around you. And I think Goodwin can come in and do that, take the points off the teams around you.
Yeah, that's what we need to be doing, exactly. We need to be more competitive against the teams around about us. So we need to be making sure that, like you say...
But you said, I know, Jonas, they've still got to play like Celtic, Rangers and that before the break, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. You've only got Rangers away. You've got Rangers away, but other than that, it's 9 winnable games, you know what I mean?
A lot of scope here to pick up points for these,
Correct.
Mm-hmm. But like around the club itself, Jonas, are the fans like we know you're quite happy with this appointment. Like, but what about other fans? Are they happy with this appointment?
I think everybody's on board. There's been enough signs from the last 2 games that like, you know, that there's positive improvement.
I think Aberdeen game, anyway, Jonas, was always going to be a tough game for Goodwin to go into anyway. Do you mean being just only sacked from about 2 weeks beforehand? Aberdeen were always trying to prove a point that Goodwin wasn't the right man for that job. Do you know what I mean? I think that was always going to be a tough game for him to go into.
We played well as well, and then we shot ourselves in the foot. But Edwards was probably at fault for 2, maybe even 3 of the goals. But like you say, defensive sort of errors cost us. But the signs were there that there was improvement. And then, like I say, going away on Wednesday night and getting a point, a really difficult place to go, coming from behind. That's sort of a mental monkey off the back as well with them.
And not having a game as well, to be honest, this weekend, and having that kind of good week and a half on the training pitch with Goodwin as well is going to be a big benefit next week going into the second game.
Yeah, that's what I said after the game on Wednesday night. It was like he's now got 10 days to get more of his ideas across and work with the squad. So that'll help as well come the weekend, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Like, it is, Mark. Like, if you think of it, like, it's tough for a manager coming into a club down the bottom when the games are coming thick and fast, and you've kind of less and less time on the training pitch to implement your football and style of football that you want to play. And these players aren't your players. Do you know what I mean? You haven't signed these players. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know.
But Paul, I think see a team like Dundee United, I think it's more about like a manager coming in and telling the players, like, motivating them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, we could get through the Dundee United squad, and they've got some good players. Do you know what I mean? And it's up to, at that kind of, it's up to the manager to come in and get the best out of the players they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Dundee United in paper, do you know what I mean?
I'm very surprised, Mark. I've said that. I've said it to you, Mark, numerous times on the podcast.
So now you need to get a manager in that's going to tell these players, look, this is your... I've said it all the time, Paul, even back to Celtic players, comes into professional pride and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You need a manager that's going to come in and give them a rock up their arse and tell them, look, this is Dundee United. We shouldn't be at the bottom of the table. And you are embarrassing yourself being at the fucking foot of the table. It's up to us in the next 10 games to make sure that we're not at it when it's the business end of the season. Because you're just empty jerseys, do you know what I mean? It's up to the manager at clubs like that, Paul. That's where it comes down to for me. It's up to kind of motivating them to reach out and fucking dig in and get the job done. Rather than just accept, we're going to Ibrox, but we're not going to win, so we'll no bother trying a leg, shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it'll be a long 10 games, Jonas, I think, but as Mark was saying there, like, I agree with Mark. Like, I hope you don't go down. You know, I always, knowing yourself, I've always kept an eye on Dundee United. Do you know what I mean? But, like, what happened, Jonas? Like, what happened with yourself in Coates? Was it Coates himself that wanted to leave, or
I think it was something to do with that. And then, like I say, it's just been a bit of a disaster since then.
Yeah,
But
because they were making kind of progression under him, like, weren't they? Like, he was playing good football, he was attacking teams, like, you know what I mean? You go back, Mark, there, like, they gave Celtic a good right go, do you know what I mean? You know, when we only beat them 2-1 on the courts, you know what I mean? They about one of the few teams who would come to Celtic Park and
Aye.
give Celtic a go, you know?
yeah,
You know?
exactly. So no, like I say, there's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of water under the bridge, but it's just time to get the heads together, and it's a clean slate for all the players as well. And it's just a case of now, what's happened in the past has happened. You can't change the past, but what you can change is what's in front of you. So just go out and try and affect what you can do, and then I get too bogged down on worrying about what other teams are doing. Just make sure you go
Exactly, just concentrate
your own
on
job.
Unlike Michael Beale, that seems to wants to say everything's Celtic when he does an interview. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think of him, Jonas Beale?
That's just him pandering to these scumbags.
Aye.
I mean, it was like
I've
Gerrard.
said that to Mikey. It's as if somebody's feeding them lines into it. Like, you
It's
need
like
to bring.
Gerrard when he was in charge of Rangers. He used to call us Dundee. He never once had the dignity to call us Dundee United. All he's doing is trying to fucking. He's just being the puppet for. It's just a performing clown trying to fucking act at the circus, is he? You know what I mean? To try and keep they clowns happy. So that's all that is. It's just bitterness and ignorance. Have a wee bit of decorum about yourself. Show a wee bit of decency and a bit of respect.
That's why, Mark. That's why you said, Mark, they never took the Van Bronckhorst, because he said it as it is. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
he was a nice enough guy.
You wouldn't catch Ange turning around and being like, "Oh, that other mob or them," or you know what I mean? Because he's not as ignorant as that. You know what I mean?
But my problem is, Jonas, with that, like, they're only putting pressure on themselves.
Yeah, when you're spouting that kind of nonsense, you've got to back it up by winning games. If you're spouting that garbage and then throwing in these sort of performances, then
I'd love it, Jonas, if he took points off them on the third, like, you know, because
so would I.
Yeah, because it was always you'd always expect, like they always did, Mark. They always took points off Rangers. Do you know what I mean? I just hope it gets back to that. I know Goodwin, you know what I mean? He'd be up for that as well. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. So we'll see how we get on. But like I say, St Mirren on Saturday, focus on that. Try and get the points on the board, and then go to Rangers with a wee bit of confidence if you can get a win.
Exactly. When is the split? Is it 3 games? I think then it's the international break, Jonas, I think, is it? And then is the split after that?
No, there's still. I think there's maybe. Well, there's 10 games left, so it's another 5 games till the split.
Aye. Man, when's the international break?
That's the end of the month, the 24th and the 28th.
International break, Nations League, Mark. Yeah, it's coming up.
The qualifiers for the Euros. Scotland have got a double header against Cyprus and Spain at home.
Can't wait. I literally can't wait for that.
Well, there's some. You see there the other day, Mark, Mickey Johnson's after putting his alliance to Ireland.
I know. It reminds me of the fucking.
But he sued him because fucking.
No, it reminds me of the. What was the film? Fuck. What's his name again? Jim Royal does it.
England.
Mike Bassett. Aye. Hear the England B team coming. What the fuck? Yeah. With an Irish accent.
You know, I just hope he doesn't think he's fucking playing in Crow Park and booting the ball over the fucking bar. Jesus Christ. You know, and Agnes Gunn, Jonas, is after showing his alliance to Scotland. That's Brian Gunn's son, is it? Or
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Aye.
You know, like who is the keeper?
Craig Gordon's injured.
He's injured, so the only realistic ones there at the moment. So Jones is McLaughlin, Xander Clark, and Agnes Gunn. Really, is it?
Agnes Gunn.
Well, what is his name?
Agnes Gunn.
But that is his. What is his name?
Angus.
I was close.
No, Agnes is a woman's name.
And what you call him?
Angus.
Ah, sure, Jesus Christ, man. There's no difference there. You know what I mean? It probably sounds like I said it properly on the podcast over the thing. They probably wouldn't know.
Jonas, even on these dating apps, don't go for an Angus, go for the Agnes, mate.
Aye. You'd be hard pushed to find someone called Agnes these days, anyway.
Some big hairy ass tutor with a kilt on up and that. Innit, really?
Aye, exactly, aye.
But Craig Gordon's going to be out for a good while. Does he on his way back? I actually think Xander Clark is a better goalkeeper than Craig Gordon.
He's younger as well. He'll probably be the number one going forward. Like he'll probably be the future Scotland number one, just because what is he 27, 28 or something. So, but like you say, the Mikey Johnson thing doesn't fuss me because he wasn't good enough for Scotland. He's never going to get a game for Scotland anyway, is he? So,
yeah, he do then for Ireland. Like Jesus Christ, like as if we're not fucking bad enough putting the ball over the bar. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'll be actually first time he gets a cap for Ireland. There'll be all these Celtic fans with Ireland taps will be Johnson 7 on the back and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
We should never have sold him. But talking about Johnson, Jonas, what do you think about AJ? Alistair Johnson, the right back.
He's coming in done well. He's adapted well, is he? He's looked good since he's came in.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if he's been playing there for years, isn't it?
He's just settled there. He just took to it like a duck to water, is he?
Definitely. He brings us, Mark, and we said it, like, he's not the biggest lad, like, but he brings a toughness to the Celtic team.
Mikey was telling me he used to play
ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Mikey was telling me that. Michael was telling me that yesterday, and actually, like he was semi-professional at ice hockey, and then it was a choice between ice hockey or going to football.
And it's a strange one, Jonas, for someone over in Canada to choose football rather than the national sport being over there being ice hockey. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe his dad, Davy Moyes, told him go for football.
Just see that, Jonas.
Have you seen it, Jonas?
Aye.
The Davy Moyes picture with Johnson.
Yeah, have I? Spitting image, yeah.
Aye, a young Davy Moyes.
He looks like a young Davy Moyes, yeah.
But what a player he really is. I mean, I said if Juranovic came in and looked good, but he never kicked on. I think Juranovic was only using us as a stepping stone for the minute to get in the door.
Well, Mark, I actually heard a story about him today, or Fonica's nephew. Because remember, I was getting all the information off him when he was signing from Lega. He was actually saying that there was a clause in his contract with Celtic that if a team came in for him, he could leave when he wanted to. And he had the same clause in his Lega Warsaw contract that if a team came in that suited him.
The structure of a contract like that then does suggest that it was just a stepping stone, because you wouldn't have a clause like that built into your contract if you were planning on staying with a team long term. Yeah.
Like, make you think, Mark, with all this kind of things that were going on with Dominic McCoy at the time, like with these contracts, you know what I mean?
Well, that was a kind. That came out. Maybe that was part of the problem.
You know that.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, what did we make? We get Alistair Johnson, but £5 million basically on Juranovic.
And we had to give Lega 1 million, Mark, I think.
I think we get the better deal out of that, to be honest.
You know what I mean? You know? Because he was already sold anyway, Mark, even before that World Cup, I think. You know what I mean? You know?
And Juranovic came out with, they signed another right back, and I knew I was getting pushed out the door, and that's a lot of garbage. His agent's been hawking him about Europe after his first 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for, as I said, for his next steps. I mean, don't get us wrong, we'll sell Alistair Johnson, we'll sell him in a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? He's come in and he's one of the best, even in the last few months, he's proven he's possibly one of the best fullbacks I've seen at Celtic in a long, long time. Mm-hmm. He really is. I mean, I'd put him in the kind of Lustig league already, and he's only been there a few months.
I think, Mark, what's the best about this Celtic team is the squad, Jonas. I think it's the squad in depth. Like, I mean, like you see it there with the Celtic team. You're after being your left backs are after being terrorised by Jota and Abada, and then you see the likes of Maeda or Haksabanovic, or do you know what I mean, coming on in the 65 minutes, like, you know what I mean? It's the strength in depth, I think, is the key to this Celtic team, you know?
Yeah, correct.
You know, and I don't know, like, I don't hear nothing. Is the Reserve League still going on in Scotland, or is that gone, or what? I don't see any reports about it, Jonas. Is there still a Reserve League there going on, or what?
No, there's not. No, there is. There's like the Reserve Cup and stuff like that in the reserve. Yeah, there is a reserve league, but it's not the same structure as it used to be.
Yeah,
The match days are more staggered. I think you only play 1 or 2 a month. It's not like back in the day when you used to have the reserve game. The reserve league used to run alongside the. I think the reserve league needs to be brought back because it's better for the younger players. It gets them playing against men as well, rather than playing reserve football or going on, you know what I mean, or playing against academy teams and stuff.
That's B League nonsense and stuff like that, Jonas.
I've said.
I'm sure there is a reserve league, maybe even get started up at the beginning of the season. But Celtic and Rangers were tied into this B League nonsense.
Yeah, there is a reserve league, Mark, but like I say, the game days are quite staggered. They don't play very often, like, you know what I mean. It's not a league it's not like a league that plays on a weekly basis.
Aye, it's definitely something. I've said that all along, Paul, to you. That's something that needs to be brought back.
It's one of the biggest mistakes,
Mark, because there's got to be that kind of area, I don't know, purgatory, if you want, you know what I mean, whereas you have to work between being a youth player and a first team player. That's that bit, the reserve team player. Do you know what I mean? And players that are maybe out for a time of injury, a few older age players, they're allowed to play, get themselves back up to fitness and stuff like that.
But even for the Scottish national team, Jonas, do you know what I mean? Bringing up these young players, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just affecting the progress of youth players in Scotland, and no wonder youth players are leaving Scotland because there's no league there. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a far better. It's a far better idea. It's a far better, like, competitive football and stuff like that. It's far more beneficial, and like I say, they need to reintroduce it.
Mm-hmm.
1,000,000%. Honestly, I totally agree with that, Jonas. I've said it for ages. It's something. See, as long as I can remember, football, because I can remember Scotland getting to the final of the World Cup at under 16 level in that, right? And they played Saudi Arabia, and they all looked about 30-year-old with big moustache. They all looked like Yoda. They had big mullets and moustaches, and they were meant to be under 16s, right? And I've said this to you before, Paul. For years and years in Scottish football, there's a void between stepping up from under 21 level to like first team top class level. The other years, Scotland has produced absolutely quality players. Every team in Scotland, Celtic, Rangers, Dundee United, Aberdeen, Hibs, up to that kind of under 21 level, and for there to take the next step up, there's something missing. There's something missing in Scottish football, and that's always kind of been the hold back on it. But the reserve league is, for me, it's a necessity, because that could help bridge that gap.
Yeah, no, definitely, 100%.
Jesus Christ, Yogi was snoring there, but I had to.
Is that who it was? I thought you were farting or pulling your zip up or something like that, Paul.
Jesus Christ, man.
That seems that's for years there's been that kind of. Don't get us wrong, Scotland still had cracking players breaking through, but a lot of them were cracking young players that never made that actual final wee jump. Whereas clubs in the continent and England, they kind of know how to get them to make that jump. And
Clark as well, though, Mark. Clark as well doesn't seem to be a manager, Jonas, that's willing to give new players a chance. Do you know what I mean? He kind of sticks to his tried and trusted all the time, doesn't he? Doesn't seem to be.
He's had a degree of success, so I can see why he has stuck to it. But like I say, you still need to be adaptable in the sense that, like, if there is young players coming through, or you need to make a change.
Even like there, do you remember during the what was it, Mark? Yeah, it was during the international breaks there. During the World Cup, Jonas, there when the World Cup was going on, and Celtic refused to let players go because it wasn't an official international game.
Recognised break kind of thing.
He called up the same players that he did during the year. Like, but that was an opportunity for him to call up new players and see what new players could do. Do you know what I mean? In these games, but he just didn't. Like, you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, you could have used it as an exercise to bring in different players to have a look at different options for who was available and guys that hadn't got a lot of minutes in that. That's what I would have done. But
I bet you a free pass into it. If we get beat, we get beat. I bet I couldn't pick these players or that players and such and such.
Yeah.
But it's just I'm not a big Scotland fan. Not a big fan of international football at all. It kind of blows the arse off me. But Scotland does just the same thing. There's not any kind of forward planning. There's
it's the same here, Mark, man. It's the same here.
But see the thing about it, Paul, Ireland had a few kind of golden generations. Do you know what I mean? When you're talking about like your Roy Keane, Robbie Keane, Damien Duff, do you know what I mean? All they kind of guys. And they done it. I mean, they done a bit of a turn. You can even get back to like the olden days with like Ray Houghton and McGrath and people like that. But Scotland just don't even seem to be able to get that kind of group together. I don't.
But is that over the problem, Mark? What we're just speaking about, that the lack of attention to the youth leagues here in Ireland and in Scotland is stopping from this generation happening again, because the players aren't progressing. Do you know what I mean? If they don't have a reserve league, if you don't have proper pathways to clubs, it's just going to affect like a League of Ireland won't get into the national team unless he goes abroad. You get me? And the minute he goes abroad, he's called up to the Irish team, which is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, there does need to be a change of structure, and there needs to be steps taken, because, like I say, it'll be beneficial for the country in the long term.
Because, like, Mark, I can guarantee you, and Jonas, like, there's players here in the League of Ireland team that would bleed for the Irish jersey. Do you know what I mean? And they just wouldn't get that chance. And it'd be the same in Scotland, but you're just never going to get that chance unless either you move to a bigger club, or if you're playing regular first team football, and you're just not getting the chance. It's a shame, like, you know what I mean? It really is. Like,
right, see, one of the kind of examples for me, right, as I said, I don't pay much attention to the Scotland team. Right, that McTominay, right, he is fucking ganting. He's shocking. But he kind of bummed up with the Scotland team as like
because he played with Manchester United.
That's what I mean. I mean, he's a garbage, absolute garbage. And yet he's one of the kind of names that you're saying, Paul, seems to always pop up as he's the kind of guy who's going to kind of save the Scotland team and stuff like that. And you're like, that's not going to happen. Because the Scotland team, it's probably the same as like maybe even Celtic, Jonas. Scotland probably need a right good striker. Do you know what I mean? Like a top-notch striker, somebody that's going to score you a goal when you're holding on at nothing each against fucking England or France or something like that.
Would Shackland get a run? He's never kind of been in and around the Scotland team, Jonas. Has he, Shackland? Do you know what I mean? Would he
got a couple of caps when he played for us, and he scored in a qualifier and that. But like you say,
it seems to be always Lloyd and Dykes or
probably
Adams, isn't it, for Southampton? Do you know what I mean?
He's probably about as an out and out as goal scorer as you're probably going to get. Scottish just now, that's scoring goals. So
exactly.
But it's just his lack of pace that sort of kills him a wee bit at international level. And for a team like Scotland, everybody has to sort of graft. You can't really afford to carry someone that isn't performing. But because we don't dominate that many games. And obviously, we're our favourites against some countries, but we're not like a Spain or a Poland or something like that could like leave Lewandowski up front because he's a world class player and other people can carry his can for him. We need everybody sort of digging in. So
a lot of the Polish fans are saying now, like, are they actually better off without Lewandowski now because he's actually so slow? Do you know what I mean?
I knew, Paul, but fucking hell, man, he's carried the full country for fucking 20 years.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. And I was saying to them, like, what I was saying to them, like, at least you have a player who's he might be playing well, Marco. He might be involved in the game, who can do that little bit of magic. Do you get me?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to be quick because he can still get you a goal from out of nowhere, could he?
Oh, nothing like, and I go, lads.
I can see that next season. Can see that Tannadice next season. Kyle Lafferty and Lewandowski running out for Dundee United.
Aye.
Get me your new captain Ryan Jack.
He went to.
Oh, mate,
is he gone to Linfield? Is this in
Northern? Lewandowski?
No,
Lafferty. Jesus. That club suits him down to the ground.
There's never been a transfer that's been more matched, is there?
Yeah.
Aye.
But what did you say to me, Mark? Himself and Lee Griffiths then are best of buddies or something, is it?
Well, they're kind of brother-in-laws. Aye, their women are sisters. Their girlfriends are sisters.
Do you know what I mean? Like total lapse. It's like that's what was that?
Well, Griffiths is on Australia again, isn't he? He bolted out there again the other week.
Did he?
Lee Griffiths, aye, he moved out to Australia, aye. I think he scored in the other day in a cup final, maybe.
Such a waste of talent, Jonas, isn't he? Lee Griffiths, isn't he?
He's just had too many issues behind the scenes, did he?
Yeah, we always said that, Mark, but he could be a top striker.
See Lee Griffiths that in his prime. Lee Griffiths would have scored more goals than Kyogo this season.
I would think so, Mark. Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
Kyogo, I know I do keep saying, he misses too many Saturdays. He has scored some amount of goals, but see that kind of, what was it? He scored 46 goals in a season. See that level of Lee Griffiths, he'd have him or Gary Hooper or that. He'd have been challenging Larsson's record for the goal scoring record this year, without a doubt, in that Celtic team.
Definitely.
There was an interesting question, actually, Mark. We'd call after this was what striker force was better? Was it Hartson, Sutton, or Larsson, or the ones we have now between Maeda, Yota, Kyogo, and Abada and Haksabanovic? What was better?
Larsson, Sutton, and Hartson, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, without a doubt.
I don't think.
Is that you just never dig that I'm old enough to mind that?
I think the way Scottish football's gone now, Mark, like are the days gone of that kind of signing, that caliber of player, bringing in this big marquee signings? Are they gone, do you think?
I wouldn't say that, no.
It depends what you kind of class is a marquee signing.
But that's what I said to you before, Mark. It was like, but we did sign marquee signings in the likes of Japan. We picked up the next key talents. Do you know? Like, I think, Jonas, the days of marquee signings are gone. Like, they don't have to be a big name to be a marquee signing anymore, do they?
No, not at all.
Give me 2 minutes now, Paul. Right, bud? Just you and Jonas, Blair, and I've got to mute my mic.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's it, mate. Like, you don't need to be a marquee. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a big name to be a marquee signing, because you could be an up and coming talent, or you can go on to be a marquee signing once you get your step up on the sort of career ladder kind of thing. So no, it's not as cut and dried as it used to be, I don't think.
Going on to you, Jonas, there while Mark's and Beck, like, if he did, hopefully he stay up and he get out of this, like, would you prefer a striker like Kyogo or the big bulky one that you have now between Watt and Fletcher? Would you like one who plays on the edge, plays on the shoulder?
Yeah.
Would you be able to play more football than having a striker than pumping the ball into the box, would you say, do you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, it's good to have a couple of different types of player. And like, having a target man is good in some games, and then having someone that's nippy, like a Kyogo type, is good in other scenarios. So you want a balance. You want a couple of each.
I say, Jonas, for defender, like I say, it must be a nightmare to play against a striker like Kyogo, who's looking to get the space, and he knows he has the upper hand in you in speed. Do you know what I mean? It must be a nightmare for a defender, I said, to play against a striker like that.
Yeah, definitely, because they're always on the move, yeah.
Really would, like, because I think that's been maybe...
Sorry, that's me back. Sorry, I was just getting Yoda sent up to bed there, bud.
It's been it's been kind of. Well, no, I'm just asking Jonas, Mark, like what kind of striker would he be for? Like, you know what I mean? Would he be for the Fletcher type striker that, you know what I mean? Of course, you kind of want to have a bit of both, like, but would he be in favour of a kind of a Kyogo striker, Mark, who you can play that passing and maybe play fast football next season under Goodwin, who would play that kind of football next season? Do you know what I mean? Because he does play attractive football if he gets it right, you know. And that's one thing I actually like about Goodwin, Jonas, is that he's not afraid to play football. You know?
Exactly. But he's kind of just got to work with the tools
Yeah,
that he's got this
exactly.
season. But next year, when he puts his own stamp on it, then I think we'll see another type of player as well. A
But
bit more mobile.
I know it's next season, Jonas, but what areas do you think you need?
Kyle Lafferty.
You know?
Kyle Lafferty and Ryan Jack, that'll transform them.
Aye.
And Morales, huh? It's a pre-contract I heard.
There you go, Jonas. Morelos, Ryan Jack and Kyle Lafferty.
It gets even worse, does it?
Is there a nice chipper down there for him, is there?
I don't. That story about him signing for Sevilla, I don't even know if that's true.
Seemingly it is, yeah.
It seems to just be kind of some daft, like low-level Daily Star kind of paper out in Spain that said it, Jonas, and nobody else has said that it's real.
No,
I'd be surprised if somebody like that was in for him. Would you know?
Well, we were speaking about that yesterday, and I'd be shocked as well because, like I say, he's no fit or anything, is he? So
No.
Unless they're taking a punt on him, that he's going to get his finger out his hole, like, but I don't know, to be honest with you. Like I say, but it's clear that he'll not be at Rangers anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're in big trouble at the end of the season. Like, you know what I mean? All these, I say, man.
I don't know, Paul. I don't think they're in big trouble because they're shaving a hell of a lot off their wage bill.
I'd be very surprised, Mark, if they can keep McGregor for another year.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be surprised with that. But see Morelos leaving, Ryan Jack going to United, Ryan Kent going away, things like that's shaving a hell of a lot off the kind of wage bill.
But what would they be on, Mark, roughly? Like, would they...
That Morelos is meant to be one of the top paid players in Scotland. He's meant to be actually on more than Callum McGregor.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Just a big... I mean, Jonas... You might mind for Jonas when he first came in. He was getting a new contract every fucking 6 months, wouldn't he?
Aye, he was, aye.
Do you know what I mean? I've read, I don't know for certain, but I've read it a few times that he's one of the top paid players in Scotland and he's on more than Callum McGregor.
Yeah, they're in trouble, do you know what I mean?
He will be in big money, yeah.
No wonder they're in trouble, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Reckless. Like, it's like, do you know what the thing is about Rangers, Jonas, is like, they never learn from previous mistakes. Do you know what I mean? You know, like, how can a club be 10 years old and be in severe debt? Do you know what I mean? Do you know?
Yeah, they've just not learned their lessons. It's just overspent.
You
know, it really is like they put a lot of
just trying to keep up with Celtic. That's all they've got to kind of have. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how they do it. I mean, how many share confetti they caught on Twitter and stuff like that, all that kind of thing. I mean, don't get us wrong, Dundee United, Jonas, you've had a few financial difficulties the other year, but you sorted it out, like, legit. Do you know what I mean? Like Hearts done, like other teams have done. You know what I mean? They've not changed any kind of attitude. Do you know what I mean? Back in the day...
There's issue, Mark, is going to stop though because
they can't do that now. That doesn't work now.
If they want to get into Europe, I said that's not going to work. Like, you know what I mean? No. You know, it's they're really clamping down, Jonas, UEFA on the financial placings after COVID. Like, you know what I mean? They're really clamping down on it.
Yeah, I say as well, Jonas, and again, no disrespect to Dundee United or any other team, but I'll keep saying Celtic should be treating Scottish football and acting at level as like your PSGs, your Bayern Munich. Do you know what I mean? Like, just accepting that we're part of a league that we can't, none of the rest of them can keep up with. So we need to try and move ourselves on to the next level and just, if they can try and keep up with, well, that's up to them. Do you know what I mean? Celtic need to try and kick on, as we said earlier, about like on a kind of European level.
Yeah.
More focused on getting into that kind of the European depth of thing and getting that kind of income, but making sure, no matter what, 9 times out of 10 we're the top dogs in Scotland kind of thing.
Yeah, well, what I was saying at the start of the podcast there, Ewan, is like, can someone break up the top 2 at the moment in the SPL? You know? Are Hearts on the right way of that? Or can you see Aberdeen do it, Hibs do it, Dundee United do it?
Like,
you know,
the difficult, like the consistently, like you can take points off teams will be on one-off games, but it's hard to sustain. You know what I mean?
I think maybe one of them could date Paul. See, like what Jonas was saying earlier, that they're in a massive kind of total rebuild come this summer. I think this is kind of maybe an opportunity for a team like Aberdeen or Hearts to kind of really push for second place.
Or even get a decent run back, even try to, like...
I mean, we're expecting, I mean, let's face it, what's going on, and we know their finances and the amount of players, right? We're expecting a wee bit of turmoil next season. Would you know, accept that, Jonas?
Yeah.
This could be a good chance for a team like Aberdeen Hearts, and hopefully Dundee United to actually push them and see what happens when they get kind of pushed a bit. Do you know what I mean?
For the likes of maybe Hearts, Aberdeen and Dundee United trying to get into a group stage of the Europa League or group stage of the Conference League to get that extra income, Jonas, to have that extra bit of money to spend to get to progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That needs to be the target.
You know, because it seems to be
kind of when you've got kind of foot in the throat of your enemy, you should maybe put a wee bit of pressure on it. Do you know what I mean, Jonas?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
They're a wee bit shaky. It could get either way next season. I'm not saying Aberdeen or Hearts or you go out and spend millions bankrupting yourself chasing second place, but maybe have a wee pop at it.
Like what me and you said there a couple of weeks back, Mark, and we said like when Rangers were down in the lower leagues, like it was a chance for these teams to bridge that gap when they weren't there. Do you know? But they didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like Rangers came back into the freaking league.
Paul, it was a chance for Celtic to build a bridge that Rangers should never have been able to get over.
Yeah.
If we get champion, I mean, honestly, imagine we get even 5 Champions Leagues out of the 9 league titles. Imagine we'd even get 5 Champions Leagues with money in that.
Yeah, I think it's not just the Celtic, Mark. Like, or do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, Jonas, you've obviously heard this fucking 5-point agreement thing and all that, right? And do you think that it was more than Celtic and Rangers that were involved in it to kind of keep this status quo money coming into? I know that's getting into kind of tinfoil hat stuff, but do you get what I mean? Is there something that just in Scottish football that it needs to be? We need to try and keep something kind of level to keep interest.
Aye, probably, yeah. They were too quick to just shove what was signed under their noses, I think, without really looking at it in detail, you know what I mean? And
I mean, do you think Dundee United would have been treated the same?
No.
Probably not, no.
No, aye, it really is. And that's one of the things I mean, I can make Airdrieonians, when they were called Airdrieonians, they went bust and there was a bit of shenanigans when Clyde took her, blah, blah, and stuff like that. But the prime example was Gretna.
Yeah.
And even going back years before, just before me, Third Lanark, these teams won stuff and done stuff and now they don't exist.
Because it was unsustainable. Just threw money at it, but there was no structure or plan in place for any sort of longevity. It was unsustainable, was it? Just reckless spending.
Aye, but I'm talking about, like, well, Gretna. I mean, even there is a version of Gretna now, but they don't take any day with old history and stuff like that. That's what I mean. But that's what I mean. Is this stuff?
They were bust, was it?
Aye. The guy was pumping his own money into them, and then he ended up dying. But fair play to him. I mean, he lived the dream. But Gretna's name don't exist now. But now we still keep on this kind of thing with Rangers and that. And is a Scottish football is that really, Jonas, you're looking at it from outside, but is that all we've got to offer the world? That's what. Do you get what I mean?
I think the reason that what happened with Rangers happened was because people were scared to like put the foot down on them because they thought if they go out of existence permanently, then that'll be like you say, Scottish football will suffer. So it was more like
it could be the end of Scottish football kind of a thing, like, wouldn't it? That's what it kind of looked like, Mark, didn't it?
yeah.
Aye, but there was dodgy deals and blackmail and threats and everything behind the scene. But the thing about it was, even if Rangers accept it, but like we kind of say, oh, they're a new club, they're a new whatever. I don't think it would make much difference.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Rangers had the way you get into the league's always a bit dodgy as well, blah blah blah. They get put into this league, but see if they just came up through the league as like the new Rangers or whatever, and just came up right, and see even they won the league the other year, they won the cup. Would it make any difference? Right, fair dues are all this 55 nonsense and that, but even at that, it's just they could have made it more honest and truthful and just let them be. Do you get what I mean by that, Jonas?
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree with you. Like,
there was no need to. There was no. Everybody should have known what happened. Everybody knows what happened.
Yeah,
They're not getting away from it.
Jesus Christ, Mark, it go into meltdown by when we level that 55.
Aye.
Go into meltdown. You know,
but even at that, but just let them come back up, even as the new Rangers, and just accept that, and everything would have. But it's just all, and that's when. See, honestly, I think that's when Scottish football went absolutely a bit toxic.
Well, that's actually, Mark, what you're going there. Like a couple of years back, Cork City went bust, and it was at the time when the fans group got together, and Cork City's actual full name now is Cork City Forest. Fans of Cork City's Football Association.
Aye.
That's what Cork City's actually called. We're technically a new club, and it'll always be Cork City, Mark, to the fans and stuff like that. But in League of Ireland football, it's Cork City Forest Group. Do you know what I mean? You know, and it was only this year.
Aye, but maybe that is just doing to name changes and that again, Paul. Like they going about us with that Pacific Shell stuff.
Yeah, but no, it's actually because
it's like she's. I always say as well, right? They're going about it was just a new company, but see if a new company takes on Man United, players don't walk away from contracts and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? When they go, it wasn't the company, it wasn't the club that went bust, it was the company. But other clubs, it was as if the club gets sold, but other players don't walk away for nothing when the clubs get sold.
No.
And that's they can't answer that, you know what I mean, Jonas?
No, they can't. No,
but that's see for the. I mean, that's going to hang over Scottish football for years. That kind of whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
But that for me, and I spoke about this with Mikey, Jonas. That's the kind of that for me the tipping point. Scottish football really, really get toxic after that kind of time.
Yeah, it did, aye. Because everybody was at each other's throats. There was a lot of infighting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I kind of realised you can't even really. I mean, you can't talk to Rangers fans because the minute you have a bit of banter with them, I'm not even going to say you know what their go-to is, and that's them lost the argument. And I'm not sitting and argue with anybody on a subject like that, Jonas. You know what I mean?
No.
That's you fucking scrape the barrel, and that's all they seem to have.
Correct, aye. That's their first go-to, is it?
Aye.
Well, that's what we was. In fact, that's what we were saying. Like, I remember when we first started doing the podcast. Like, you know what I mean? We were saying like we wouldn't mind other football clubs fans coming on before games and Jonas coming on, but then we were saying like we actually couldn't have one of them on because we actually couldn't have a civilized conversation. Like, do you know what I mean?
But see, honestly, Paul, see, like probably 2023, see, like 2010 or that when. It was a kind of just a mixed balance of what was going on and blah blah blah. You could get a Rangers fan on and talk to them and have a decent conversation about football and have a wee bit of prod with the banter and stuff like that.
I did that stupid though, Mark. Really, that like, do you think they actually know inside that their clubs in fucking turmoil? Do you know what I mean? Are they just blind to it?
They just bury their head in the sand and hope that Dougie Park's just going to keep spending money.
Jesus, like, you know, I don't know, would they end up going down the same road, like, you know what I mean?
Good night,
you know?
Bobby, mate. Thanks very much for
Should
joining
we let
us.
it there anyway? It's getting late anyway, man. You know?
That's 9 o'clock, man.
Yeah. You know, you want to say thanks very much for joining us again, buddy. Always
no problem, lads. Thanks for having us again.
It's been a while, and don't be a stranger to the podcast. Yeah, don't be a stranger to the podcast, man. Fairness.
Yeah, I'll come on again soon.
You know, and thanks to the live chat there for tuning in, and Mark will close the show.
All right, no bother, Paul. Thanks very much, bud. And you, Jonas, thanks very much for coming on. You're just any Sunday night, Jonas, you're not doing any, you're more than welcome. We're always here.
We're always here, man, yeah.
Aye, so you're more than welcome anytime. All the lads in live chat, Bobby, you, Deef, Brian, who else was in the night?
Mickey.
Mikey was in, he's away playing FIFA, I think. That. Fuck him. But thanks very much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. People that listen back, hope you enjoyed it. If you can hit the like button. If you know how, please leave a comment, because that helps us get up the algorithm on YouTube and that. Hail, good night, and God bless.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Jonas.
Good night, Jonas. Thanks a lot, bud.
Cheers, guys.